years ago.
I don't understand.
Don't scream, "Are you high already?" at me. And we've just begun.
Ow. Well, that's what I do.
Why do you look like you're in a comic book?
I am.
You're not.
I don't know. I'm trying to fuck with these settings because
Your
I
face
don't have
is
great.
clear,
I don't have great lighting.
but it looks like
Oh, I think it's
like you're
because I
censoring
accidentally
your
clicked
background.
to blur the background. And I
Oh.
didn't mean to do that.
That's a fancy fucking camera. I'm not sure that mine could do that.
It is absolutely not a fancy camera. It's a setting in Skype,
Oh,
so you could definitely do it.
are you sure?
Yeah.
Hold on, I want to blur.
Go to
flag.
audio video settings, and under your camera, it'll be a little slider, John, that says blur your background.
Blur my background.
You too.
Oh, I censored America.
Yeah. So when you have the Klan flag up in the background,
Fun
then
fact.
everybody has to see it.
Fun fact: for a while, I did have a Confederate Native American flag.
See, and that's questionable.
Do you want to know where I bought it? Can you guess where I bought it?
An Army Navy, probably.
No, no, I bought it in Florida. It's
Oh well, yeah, they probably like give those out.
The world, the world's biggest dollar store, and I was walking. I don't think it is. They just you could just say that. I don't think anyone's going to challenge you. If you
Yeah,
say
no
you're
one's
the
challenging you.
Yeah. And I went inside, and I was like, "Oh, they have like a lot. They had like weapons in there for it. It was weird.
Mm-hmm.
It's Florida though, so it's not that weird. And then there's like a wall of swords and weapons, and then there was another wall of like flags, and the dead center was fucking chief and sitting in front of a Confederate flag. I'm like, I don't understand what the message is here, but I need it, so I immediately bought it.
Well, everyone knows that when the Confederates needed help against the Union, they turned to their neighbors, Indians, and were like, "Y'all want to fight for us?" And they were like, "Sure, why not?
Are y'all gonna kill us?" Yes.
Forget about that, Trail of Tears shit and whatever.
Trail of Tears, more like Trail of Beers. Am I right? This guy knows what I'm talking about. I love.
If you guys help us, we'll name a couple sports teams after you.
I love that they put their racist differences aside
Yeah.
to bring back slavery to enlist the help of Native Americans.
Mm-hmm. It's
Welcome back.
a real American story.
Welcome back, everybody.
Yeah.
This is our first video podcast between Jarrett and myself. Unfortunately, it's like at the end of the world, so I don't know what do we do?
So this is more like those like video diaries you get, or those audio diaries you get in like RPGs where people like have long died but needed to record their final moments. I guess.
Right. This is it. Like in Fallout, like you're following the holotapes. This is going to be the holotapes in the.
We need we're thoughtfully placing like exposition in pieces so that you can follow the breadcrumbs to a special gun or something.
They'll follow me like dead in front of my American flag with blood all over the wall because I blew my brains out. But I also beat off before, so my pants are off. But this will be visible. They'll be able to see like what happened. Like
if you never get the tape, they're like, "Oh, this is environmental storytelling."
Who the fuck is Tony Ferguson? I don't.
The writing on the walls in blood to say Tony Ferguson.
The cursed fight. It's all on the walls.
So over under, will you die before Khabib fights Tony Ferguson?
I think it's more likely that I'll die before they actually fight. I think Khabib might fight Conor McGregor, and then we die before we see Tony and Khabib again. It's so strange. It's like obviously like we don't believe in curses or whatever, but or I guess now I do. It's just such a strange. I mean like. I guess that's such a small circumstance as to why they can't fight. I feel like the greater thing is the thousands of people dead and the infections and all that.
No, but it does kind of prove, or I don't want to say prove, but if you're a person who believes this is a cursed fight, one of the few cursed fights in the world, there's no greater sort of demonstration of that than for the 5th time this fight was canceled because literally something terrible had to happen.
Dana and Tony and Khabib were like, literally the world has to end for this fight not to happen.
And guy was like, "Oh, word on God."
On God, fam?
Wuhan, China was like, "Oh, I got you. Hold my beer.
Yeah,
hold my soju."
That bioweapons facility in Wuhan was like, hold on. there can only be one champion, and it's Weili Zhang, and we will make sure that no one else is a champion after that fight. What of a turn of events, huh? There isn't really much in the world of I mean, there's some stuff, but it's all like conjecture because no one's fighting. Nothing's canceled, but like we're going through a fucking pandemic, so like everything that anyone says is like it doesn't matter. I can't believe they still even have like Ariel Helwani and Chael shows to talk. Like, what are they talking about?
But I mean, it's the same thing. Like, why are Skip and fucking Shannon Sharp talking to each other? There's nothing to talk about.
There's no sports.
I feel like every episode is just like Skip asking Shannon, "Yo, so are you sure LeBron's the GOAT?"
Yeah.
And he's sitting in like a locker room with like 7 LeBron jerseys behind him.
Yeah. They got cutouts of them in their jerseys.
Pictures of him shaking LeBron's hand. Like, that's the show for the rest of the year.
ESPN's been struggling. They were posting Max Holloway playing Warzone on ESPN MMA the other day because he like shot down a helicopter with a rocket and he like freaked out like for 2 seconds. It wasn't even that good of like a highlight. Like if you're gonna do streams, like go to Twitch. Like there's so many better.
ESPN has no idea how video games work. But they have an esports division that people write for daily, and they still have no fucking idea how this works. Yeah,
to be fair, they don't really have a lot of people for MMA either. It's like two or three people. So
it's the same people who have been doing it for 20 years.
Yeah.
Finally got paychecks from ESPN, basically.
Yeah, essentially.
I feel like the only drama that's happened was all of the several incarnations of UFC 249, which apparently is still on. It still has a date. It's the only MMA event with a date so far, it seems like. Because
apparently did they lease an island or some shit for 20 weeks? I don't know if that's true. I don't know if that's what... Because Dana himself said it, and then they're like, no, we're not doing it anymore.
Yeah, well, he said it he said it around the same time, like, weigh-ins were supposed to happen on the original date, which was the 18th. Mm-hmm. And he said that I think earlier that week that he was securing a location, and then the rumors were like it's like an island. Yeah, and then
I think it might have been on Ariel's show, if I'm not mistaken. Mm-hmm. It was one of those guys. It was him or Brett Okamoto. One of the.
I think it was Okamoto guys. Actually.
Yeah.
I saw Okamoto on Twitter saying it.
Yeah.
And that's what started like the rumor mill.
Right.
And then he confirmed it maybe on Ariel's show.
Right.
But then it like almost as soon as the words came out of his mouth, like 12 hours later, the entire event was canceled because whatever. I don't know. I have no idea why it was canceled.
Well, there was an athletic commission, and I imagine they faced some pressure to not have it.
Yeah, but there's state-specific athletic commissions. Like who oversees like the Mortal Kombat fucking shout.
well, like I mean, they haven't released the location still, so maybe there's some logistical things that we obviously don't see that is holding them back from doing something.
No, but there's a lot of obvious logistical things, like how do you fly people from several different countries to a mysterious island?
Yeah, get them all tested. You can't let anyone know. Like, there's no way they'll be able to keep it a secret because...
And at the time, no one knew how to get any of their live events happening, so I'm sure lots of, like, lobbyists and representatives for other sports situations were like, so can we get on this island too?
Yeah. Right. Like, so maybe they're fielding some other things, you think? Like just.
And this was all around the same time a big call with the president happened, with a bunch of heads of like sports people like showed up.
Shouts out Vince McMahon and Dana White,
including Vince McMahon, supervillain.
They're on the fucking White House advisory board. I never would in 1,000 years would have ever imagined a team of gentlemen starring Donald J. Trump, Vince McMahon, and Dana White figuring out the entertainment of the country.
It's almost like Vince McMahon wrote it himself.
Yes.
Which it's
yes. Yes. All right. First, we get the president in as Donald J. Trump. Then Brock Lesnar fights John Jones on an island.
It's like, and this was around the same time Vince McMahon had a closed-door meeting with the president.
Yes.
Then he was like announced for this thing. Then he had another closed-door meeting with the governor of Florida. Then suddenly a story comes out the next day that maybe his super PAC probably gave the governor of Florida $18.5 million, or his campaign, whoever. Maybe. And then that Monday, suddenly, when there was a giant freeze in Florida of any live sporting events, you cannot have live gatherings or whatever. Suddenly that changes, and it's fine. Essentially, we've expanded the definition of essential businesses to include sporting events,
yes,
and sports entertainment.
And Florida simultaneously has to acknowledge the WWE is a sport. It is now a sport now, everyone.
It's, you know what? When you win, you win. And the idea is Vince did this so that he can resume live TV. Because I'm assuming in his contract with his networks, UFC and Fox, being live is probably part of what there's probably an incentive to being live. I have to imagine.
Right.
Only to then pre-tape a couple shows anyway, and then fire like 20 or 30 people, 20 or 30 like wrestling talent and lay off a bunch of like behind the scenes talent anyway.
Right.
So he secured the ability to continue making his product, only to then cut a bunch of jobs that he's deemed unessential anyway.
I just feel
that he was holding up until that point.
I was listening to, as most intellectuals do, listen to NPR in their car as they're crying on their way to McDonald's. And facts, big facts. Shouts out to the McRib. But they had mentioned like there's going to be so many companies that use this as an opportunity to just cut the fat that they couldn't before.
Right.
So now, because now they have all these bailouts and they have all of these things like support funds for companies and shit and estates and all that. So I guess that lays more of a cushion than just like firing all those people and having to pay unemployment because you've given them no reason as to why you don't want them anymore. So like, it doesn't surprise me that Vince McMahon cut a bunch of people that he doesn't need, especially because he's probably only going to be doing them in 1 or 2 locations. Possibly on Fight Island.
He does them. So they have a location in Tampa. I think it's in Tampa.
Why can't we fight in Tampa then?
And that's what I'm wondering. Like, what's the next step?
Yeah.
Because I'm assuming that UFC 249, which is happening on May 9th, apparently, is happening in Florida. I have to assume. But he's had this facility that they use down there for like, I don't know, in-house whatever training that they've been filming these shows from. So he's had a location, I mean, to do this. They're not getting live gate, so like no one's showing up, and that's affecting their profit or their revenue, but it's not affecting like the cash they have in their bank. It's not affecting their ability to pay payroll, which is something like 8 to 10% of their yearly revenue. So like you said, this is used as an excuse to cut the fat. They have the only reason they would do it is because they don't want the share price to drop. Not that they're in any financial position that they couldn't support this.
Right.
They've developed their entire business around being able to support it.
Right.
In case, of times where they're not pulling the ratings they want or not pulling the buys they want. Like, it's not like other companies where like we actually can't afford to pay payroll, so we have to cut some. Like, that was not the WWE's position.
There's also this to consider too. Maybe the wages that those. I mean, I can only speak for some of them. I would assume that some of them make minimum wage or maybe a little bit more. You actually stand to make a little bit more money if you're on financial aid, or not financial aid, unemployment.
Unemployment.
But plus the $600 thing from the government as well. But the only thing I could think of like that is like basically fuck you is like those people may never get it because it's just not coming. It's just not coming anytime soon.
Right. And depending on what you did for that company, like wrestlers are all contractors.
Yeah.
So they're not getting, I mean, there's unemployment for 1099 like contractors, but it's not like they weren't covered by anything hard anyway because they had to do all the work themselves. Their healthcare is handled by them, whatever.
Right.
If you cleaned the building or something, then probably.
Yeah.
Or if you're a writer, you were probably contracted to them, so like they probably owe you something.
Right.
And I wonder like, what's this mean for? And the weird part is like other sports like the NFL or the MLB, I'll say they're in a position now where like they're trying to figure out what to do because they agree to pay a particular amount up until like the middle of April. So now they have to figure out how they're going to pay them after that.
I'll cut it short for them. No one gives a fuck anyway if that sport goes under. Truthfully. But if there's a few people still holding out to baseball, okay, well, there's probably like millions of people that watch baseball, but who gives a shit? Just have it at a Little League park and then no one there. Who cares? You don't need a lot for baseball. Skimp on the bats. Get Walmart bats. It's in a ballpark, Franks. Go to Costco. right?
That's probably what they get them anyway.
It's probably what they got them anyway. Yeah.
But in reality, like all they have, like no one's worried right now anyway of how they're going to pay baseball players.
Yeah, because they pay them like $150 million to like do nothing. Like, what the fuck?
Like their players' unions like, no, you can't. Don't worry about it. We got you.
Yeah.
Same with like football and basketball. Like basketball players, they're probably not making the contract rates, but they're making something.
They're making
they're getting a
stipend amount of money. That most of the reason why people even gravitate to baseball and basketball anyways, because of how much more they pay the NFL, and you don't get CTE.
Yes, you get you might have to walk with like a cane or something.
You might have to take steroids.
Yeah.
Well, you have to do that in the NFL too, but in a gummy form.
But we assume that also the steroids will then complicate your CTE.
Yes.
In the NFL, at least in baseball, you'll do steroids and you'll probably get a home run record, and then people will like forget about you.
Then you're like 300 pounds and really strong, but you don't look like you're strong because you don't work out.
You sprint for 3 times a game.
Yeah.
If you run at all,
right?
Chances are you just hit or miss and don't run any bases. You just jog them out.
Yeah.
And if you're
I'd walk if I was
Big Poppy. You have 6 girlfriends and get shot in DR. Like
they fucked that dude up. Did you see that video of them finding that guy and just beating him to death? Basically, they maimed him.
I mean,
that's how much they love baseball in the Dominican Republic, I guess.
That's how much they love a particular person.
Yeah.
In the Dominican Republic. You can't attempt to kill like Dominican Babe Ruth.
Isn't that
hot take? Babe Ruth might be Dominican.
Dominican Babe Ruth. Dominican Babe Ruth. Hot take. Oh boy. Shouts out to Babe Ruth not playing in any baseball sport where there were black people around, so he could have those numbers.
Yeah.
Fucking Dominican Babe Ruth. God damn it.
Back when you can drink in the dugout.
Yeah. You can slow down time a little bit.
Yeah. That's how you see the balls coming.
That's how you see the ball. It just coming much slower. Mm-hmm. But yeah, the fight is cursed. You said May 9th is still the scheduled date. Are they consolidating a lot of those fights? Because there was a lot of fight nights that had dropped, I think, as a result. I think there's
a bunch of fight nights dropped, yeah.
I know Rosenstruck was supposed to be and Ngannou was supposed to be like a main event. So is that being slid over to 249? Because Rose Namajunas pulled out of the fight. I don't know if that was on the same card or on this card. It might have been on 249, but Rose Namajunas pulled out because she had a bunch of COVID-related deaths in her family. So she pulled out to deal with that. So I don't know I don't think anyone's going to step in to fight for Rose. I think that fight's over.
No, I think that fight just is gone.
Yeah.
I know that they took a bunch of fights off. Like Robinson's not fighting, Ben Rothwell's not fighting anymore. They're probably going to move those fights to some other cards. I think they want to add Ngannou and what's his name? Rosenstruck.
That's the fight that will heal the country, I feel. Because
probably. That was the one that was supposed to be on the UFC on ESPN.
That was the main event. They had made that a main event, I think, right?
Yeah. And then there was a weird moment where they were trying to just get Ngannou something, and like people were like, is he gonna fight John Jones for like 3 seconds? And then that didn't happen. Yeah. Because that was a really stupid rumor.
Yeah, John Jones was like, yeah!
John Jones is like, wait, you're not Israel Adesanya.
Yeah. He's like shooting guns and fucking...
Also, can he even leave his house anymore?
I don't know. I saw him comment on something recently. I was like, oh, look at him. He is still alive.
I think Greg Hardy's fighting on UFC.
John Jones should fight Greg Hardy. The scumball.
Is the scumbag world championship? Yeah, they didn't even make a special belt for that.
Yeah. Shittiest person awards belt. Shittiest person alive.
I think Ray Borg is fighting on the card too, because I think that was another UFC on ESPN fight that just got moved.
He won his last fight. I think he won his last fight. I think it was a decision, and he was crying and all that stuff. And I was like, oh, Ray Borg.
Oh, Ray, you still win fights, huh? Love to see it.
Shouts out to Brendan Schaub saving that man's life and career, child's life and career. So I will
yes. Shout out to Brendan Schaub, who I feel like spends most of his life just getting shit on.
Yeah, I mean, he did it to himself, right? I mean, he did do it to himself.
I mean, yeah.
He's kind of cocky about his comedy, and it's not good. It's kind of rude a little bit, but he's funny.
Yeah,
He was funny.
I wish he knew his lane before like Joe Rogan had to tell him his lane.
Well, I understand. First off, I understand why he's famous. It's because of Joe Rogan. But I also understand like why he did it, because I would do the same fucking thing. If Joe was like, "Hey, I'll fucking throw you in front of 1,000 people, and it doesn't matter how you do, you're gonna get paid," I'd be like, "All right, let's do it."
Oh yeah, there's no reason not to. There's no reason you wouldn't say no.
Yeah.
Like if you got a tight 5 minutes, go do it in front of 1,000 people.
But here's the thing: he doesn't have a tight 30 seconds. So
right.
so,
just turns out he's unprepared.
Yeah.
Like all the time for this. It seems.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a lot of misleading going on. But
like he was one of those UFC guys who was like, I was a UFC fighter. I was like mediocre, but I wasn't good. I was a name you might remember and a face you might remember. So let me go use this to do something else. And he went. His first something else was comedy, and that didn't really work out. And there hasn't been a second something else.
Yeah. Well, I would say that he does. I mean, probably not right now, but he was doing work with Showtime and doing stuff for E and all that other stuff. So he was. He was
trying to be like a host, which I think is probably his speed.
Yeah, exactly. Someone writes the jokes for you, and then you pretend
just
like
be a personality out here talking.
Exactly.
Introduce the next fight.
Yes, he's got a resume already to be one of those guys. So maybe that's what he's working on to be.
And he didn't have to get like killed for 3 years too long to do it.
Right.
Like, well, that's not true. I was gonna say like Frank Mir, but Frank Mir was actually doing commentary at like WEC when he was still champ. So like he started doing this a while ago.
With his dead shark eyes?
Yeah.
There's nothing appealing about
that baby eating face.
Yeah. There's nothing about Frank Mir that wants me to say I want to see him every single time there's a comment. There's something MMA related. Like he scares me. He's a little scary.
Frank Mir, he reminds me of a scorpion. Like there's just nothing about a scorpion that seems endearing.
He just doesn't look like he doesn't hug his kids.
Right.
I'm sure he does. I'm sure he's a lovely, nice man.
I'm sure he's a great person, right? Yeah. But like as a on the outside looking in, I don't know anyone who wants to meet Frank Mir.
Yeah.
Who looks at that and is like, I want to have an emotional connection with that human being.
Right. He looks like Christoph Waltz's like sidekick in a James Bond movie or something.
Yeah, like this dude definitely killed like 30 people off trains.
Yes.
And if you need bodies, this is what this man's here for. He has bodies for you. He'll go find some. He'll go make some.
I don't know if this is racist, but your light came down a little bit on your screen, so now it just looks like I'm talking to Missing No.
Yeah, I'm actually, you've learned my secret. I'm a Pokemon glitch. I've always have been. I'm just weirdly backlit because my window is like there. My
window was right here, so this is the only window I have in the room. So
you're just better prepared for this than I am, because I found this webcam a week ago in a box. And I literally just plugged it in. Oh yes, also you're light skinned.
I'm better prepared. I'm better prepared for the world.
So you're very emotional and better prepared for cameras.
I can sing at very high octaves.
Yeah. You can sing and dance.
I can sing and dance.
I get it.
You can sing and dance too.
No, Akon showed us that you can sing for like a couple years, but really what we should be doing is investing that money in just being a governor in Africa.
Yeah. And grinding on 14-year-old girls.
Yes.
Shouts out
we write strip club songs, and then we take that money and open schools in Africa.
Hey, listen, someone's got to do it. He's got his own cryptocurrency. Akon's really out here, like, trying to scrub the world of its filth.
It is kind of weird.
Yeah.
That's not the hero I was going to, like, anoint myself.
Akon? Like, of all people, I'm like, why is he, like, getting invested? Like, it's not why. Everyone has the right to start their own cryptocurrency and go to Africa and save it, I guess.
It's true.
But you're right. Of all people, that's like tomorrow if, like, Chris Brown's like, I'm going to New Zealand and I'm going to fix the forest fires. Well, I guess Akon is from Senegal, so like, I guess it makes sense, right?
He is, but even if 2006 or 2007 me was like, if I went back in time and I was like, guess who's the best, who becomes the greatest human being probably on the planet?
Guess who saves the entire world from COVID-19?
And I promise you, Akon will never be on that list.
Yeah, and it's not like he's just like doing philanthropy. Like he's building like infrastructure and like power plants and like giving them all this clean water and service and stuff. And I'm like,
right,
jeez.
And there's nothing even like
there's no Hotep that will do that.
Right. and there's nothing. It's nothing against Akon.
Yeah.
I think I have no problems with Akon necessarily. Yeah. But like if I listen to I'm So Paid,
yeah,
and then think this is the guy
Or
who's gonna like
smack that.
yeah. If I listen to Smack That
Yeah.
or Sexy Bitch,
Yeah.
and
Or
I'm like
Bonanza.
this is the guy who's going to create infrastructure in Africa.
Yeah.
And like really try to build Wakanda in Senegal.
How sad is it though that Akon can't even enjoy his wealth because everyone else won't step forward and help Africa? He's gonna be like, fuck it, I'll do it. I'll stop doing all this coke and fucking all these girls. I'm gonna go to Africa and save all of Africa.
I have to be the responsible one, said Akon to himself.
I'm the responsible
in his velour, like Versace smoking jacket.
Yeah. That's probably what he's wearing right now as he's saving everyone's lives. He walks the street that way. But
he dresses like an African warlord.
Yeah. But he doesn't do... What if he's secretly do... Like, what if he's like you know how, like, like, all these billionaire fucking cults are, like, starting to surface a little bit, and they're, like, sacrificing kids or whatever. Like, I don't know, like, all this weird shit around, like, Alex Jones, like billionaires, like, eating children and fucking them and all that. Like, what if he's doing that in Africa? What if he's on Alex Jones' list? Yeah.
What if Akon was Pizzagate the whole time?
Yeah, exactly. What if he takes off his Akon suit and it's Hillary Clinton the whole time?
His Akon suit.
Yeah. The whole
Imagine
time.
being like an alien and you're like, I need to blend in. Make me a human suit.
Black man that makes R&B.
Yeah. Let me be a dude who once called himself El Negrito.
Yeah. Oh, Jesus. I did not know that. Did he really call himself El Negrito?
Yeah, there's a fun fact for you.
Was that his, like, stage name?
That was like an early stage name.
Oh my god!
I think when he was making mixtapes and shit.
El Negrito. Is that that's not even a word?
He made it up.
Well,
obviously because he's a creative human being.
Yeah,
he's an artiste.
He's an artiste and a philanthropist.
Yeah,
a full-on rapist.
you know the deal. You know the vibes.
You know the vibes. What's Scott Coker doing during all this? Because he canceled everything and said nothing else.
I feel like he's taken the right move. Like, Scott Coker doesn't have Dana White play. So, like, there's nothing the CEO of Bellator is going to make happen.
What if he knocked on his door and like, hey, Dana? Dana, my man.
Hey,
got any room on that island?
I heard you got an island. Like,
what's up, my guy?
What if I had a little...
What if this is the first time in history we get a one championship Bellator UFC battle royale? On an island. They all live on the island and they have to fight in the woods.
They have to run to the ring, but like it's like it's that movie where the kids have to kill each other on the island to get off.
Oh yeah, Battle Royale.
Yeah, it's like Battle Royale, but like instead of for a championship, it's like literally the last MMA survivor wins their life back.
It's for an interim belt.
I mean, UFC loves those.
They do.
Also, doesn't Bellator have like 3 champions that haven't defended in like years?
I know there was one we talked about because
there was one who was I think
was it Matt Mitrione? No, it wasn't Matt Mitrione.
It was Bader, I think.
Ryan Bader.
He was like a heavyweight champion and some other champion.
He won 205 and heavyweight, and then it doesn't even show record of the heavyweight. Or no, the 205 one. It doesn't show record of the 205 one. Like it doesn't. It's not that he got stripped. He just
They just
gone.
They just don't do that one, I guess.
He won. Like who else? Like they're just like, you don't need it.
Let me go to Bellator.com. Let's look at the fighters.
At the time when I looked at it, but no one fought for that belt, and he didn't get stripped of it because I know he won it. So
Ryan Bader is the light heavyweight world champion. There isn't a heavyweight champion apparently.
Okay, so then I mixed them up. There was a Grand Prix. We all saw it. We all saw it with our eyes. What do you mean?
Let's see. He lost to Czech Congo no contest in 2019. I guess that was his last.
Was that heavyweight?
I mean, Czech Congo's not a light heavyweight, I imagine.
Did I poke him?
So Czech Congo's
the heavyweight champion?
No. Well, okay. So wait, heavyweight world title. This is the title. This is a world title fight that he apparently lost. Let's click on Czech Congo's page here.
The fact that it's not like clear.
So wait. Oh, it was a no contest.
So what does that mean?
I don't know what that means either. Like,
does that mean Ryan Bader's just no one's allowed to be a champion for?
So they both clearly fought.
It's lost forever.
It went one round for 3 minutes 52 seconds. What the fuck? When was this? All right, now I have to
I
do
think
some
he
digging.
like eye poked him or some shit, and he couldn't go on. It was some shit that like stopped the fight. I vaguely remember it, but
And then it just like melted the championship
that's
down.
it. You're never allowed to be. No one's allowed to be a heavyweight champion anymore.
I can't imagine a fight was full with so much fuckery that they were like, you know what, no one's champion.
Well, because it's Bellator, so no one saw it. So they're just like, no one saw it, so we'll just pretend like it never happened.
All right, let's see. CBS Sports. What happened here? Czech Congo fights have a tendency to go a bit sideways. That is accurate.
Remember he got KO'd 4 times and still won the fight?
And then still killed Pat Barry.
Yeah.
I'm getting a Reese's Peanut Butter Cup ad that just won't stop playing music.
Shouts out to Reese's.
Okay. All right. Bader dominated early going in the fight, tagging Congo with heavy punches while easily defending the bigger man's takedown attempts. After Bader scored a takedown and began laying it heavy, ground and pound, Congo attempted a wall walk to his feet, only to eat more strikes. This sounds like a Czech Congo fight.
Yeah.
So far.
And then he
suddenly gesturing to his eye, forcing referee Mike Beltran to halt the fight due to an eye poke. Congo told ringside physician he's unable to see, resulting in the fight being waved off and the fight being declared no contest due to an accidental eye poke. Replays of the end of the fight were inconclusive on if Congo was poked or punched in the eye, leading to the finish. The rest of the night's action was far. All right, I don't care about that. All right, so
but that doesn't mean he lost, right?
Let me see. Main event. Got accidentally poked in the eye. Let's see what this little video I'm watching here.
Listen, while you're watching it, the only reason I even remember any of this is because there was like a talk of Ryan Bader wanted to challenge Dana Cormier because they were both double champs at the time or something.
Right, and I was like, no one knew Ryan Bader was a double champ.
Yeah, and then we talked about this exact thing. We looked up and like, he's not even a champion? I'm like, no, he is a champion. He won the fucking heavyweight Grand Prix.
And that was the last heavyweight fight he had.
Yeah.
And
apparently not.
Okay, so Mike Beltran waves it all, or is Czech Congo's like on his hands and knees. Mike Beltran's telling him to stand up. Here's a replay.
Does it look like it? Can we screen share?
The hands are.
We can screen share.
Can we?
Yes.
Well, let me restart this then, so we can
share screen. No, that's my screen.
How do I do this? Screen share. There we go. Start sharing.
There we go.
Can you see my screen?
Can you see? I think. Hold on. Let me back out. Yes, I can see. Oh, look at this! State of the art, guys!
Here we go. We're going to watch this blurry ass footage together.
Are we? Yeah, you know what? You're allowed to share Bellator stuff, so I think we should be good.
Yeah, no one cares about.
No one cares about Bellator.
Shout out to the energy Mike Beltran brought to that timeout.
Yeah. Shouts out to this. And if it is a problem or whatever, if it's flagged, I'll just remove this one part or blur it or something.
I mean, it was on the
I think we should be good because I've shared a lot of stuff. Bellator encourages people to share their content, so I think
also on the Danzin or Dazin, whatever the fuck.
Yeah.
Twitter account.
Yeah.
So if they shared it, I can share it.
Yeah. Good positioning with the head. I like the circle.
I like the buffering.
State of the art buffering. It is clear though.
It's clearing up, which is why it's buffering, I think.
We should watch a movie. And talk about. Remember that movie? We're doing that version of those people that would talk during the movies, but they were like robots. Mystery Theater 3000.
Yeah.
We should do that with Bellator fights.
Hold on. Let's go back. Let's go back to the action here. I think there was a clear poke here.
Oh! Yo, he gout. No, was that his nose or his eye? I can't tell. It happened so fast. Maybe it goes through his nose into his eye.
See, like he has a thumb like all up in his nose right there.
Yeah. Probably brings it back a little bit.
But what I'm saying, like maybe the rest of the hand started.
Yeah, on the eye.
And ended on the thumb.
If that's true, he fucking reached his thumb in his skull. Like he put his.
Or maybe the thumb went through his nose and out the other side of the eyeball.
Yeah. Yeah, either way, that's brutal, huh? He wasn't winning that fight. Full disclosure.
No.
Everyone just fully realized that he was not winning that fight at all.
Which I guess is why you make that a no contest, because
So does that mean he's not a champion?
So we still haven't figured out that mystery.
Yeah. We'll never get to the bottom of this.
Why does that make you not a champion?
Yeah.
But, all right, maybe we should do some more digging here.
What happened? Has Ryan Bader talked about it at all? Like, what is this?
Bellator heavyweight.
We're finding we're figuring out the Illuminati, everybody. This is what we're doing.
All right, list of champions.
Also, shouts out to Tony Ferguson for making weight anyway.
Yeah, good on him. I mean, he's going to fight someone. It's just going to not be Khabib. It's going to be Justin Gaethje, apparently. Right. You know, the fight everybody needed in their life.
Fight no one asked for.
Okay, so the Bellator heavyweight world championship has been around since 2010. There's been 4 champions, which is incredible. Cole Conrad was champion for 700 days. Vitaly Manikov was champion for 911 days.
Well,
then he was stripped after failing to defend the title, apparently for 3 years.
Are you sure he didn't eye gouge someone?
And then Ryan Bader won it in the Grand Prix.
How is there? That can't be true.
So, like, no one gives a fuck about this championship is the point, I guess.
Yeah, I guess they struggle getting heavyweights into Bellator. So.
Which is weird because you think it'd be easy to find heavyweights.
No, I would say it's harder. From a lot of the guys that I talk to that are heavyweights, especially in the if there are any good heavyweights in the world, they all go to the UFC. It is very difficult. I was even that guy Renato Larange.
Mm-hmm.
He was doing this bit a long time ago with Joe Rogan where he was showing up and asking to be in the UFC or whatever, and Renato's like, I don't know, like 5'9", 5'10", maybe like 160, 170 pounds, and Joe says something like, oh, can you make it heavyweight? Because we need heavyweights. It's like, it's fucking difficult. It's difficult. If you really think about the heavyweight division now, right? What is there, like 15 of them? Maybe. And they're all supposed to be the best in the world. You go to one championship, you look at their heavyweights, they've been playing the same Brandon Vera highlights for the last 4 years. Like, since the company's begun, they've had that same guy as their heavyweight champion.
I guess it's tough to be a heavyweight that's also, like, athletic.
Yeah.
Because it's probably easy to find someone who's over 130 pounds or whatever, 160 pounds. But are they a top-tier fighter? Probably not. For
heavyweight, what is it, like 225 and up? 235 and up?
I think, yeah, well... 235, I think is up.
235 to 265.
265 is the limit.
If you're a phenomenal athlete and you're in that weight class, you're probably in the NFL. You're probably in the NBA. Like, it's one of those two. Like, most big guys that are super athletic and are good at combat sport or I guess collision sports or good at sports at all in high school, they get funneled into football or basketball or one of the big 3 sports.
Mm-hmm.
Baseball, hockey, all those guys.
And being big as shit is really just asking to go to a place that's going to pay you better than anywhere that would want you to get punched in the face from.
Yeah. Like, why would Joe Thomas go to the UFC, get battered for 5 years of his life to get like $50,000 in a sponsor, where he can get battered for 10 years and have CTE and make $100 million?
And and probably have a way better sort of like grassroots, like, transition into professionalism. He'll be playing football from probably like some fucking Pee Wee league to high school to college to maybe even semi-pro to pro. Like, there's way more structures in place to be all right at football for a significant part of your early life than there are in MMA.
As soon as the UFC is doing a phenomenal job at trying to like be a household name, just like the NFL. They're essentially a household name at this point. People you talk about it all the time. People say, "Oh, I train UFC." You know what I mean? Like, it's synonymous with MMA, and it's the gold standard pretty much for, I guess, strikers and grapplers alike all over the world to go to that place. If you're the best in the world, you typically go to the UFC. Even if you're the best in the world, you still might not be even found by the UFC. for a while they had a lot of limits. Like early, like during the Ultimate Fighter days, you had to have like a 6-1 record. That was the only way they would even conceivably look at who you are as a person, unless you had a 6-1 record. And if you're a fighter in any of the combat sports, you know how difficult it is to beat somebody one-on-one that many times in a row. So, so you know, you can't be Kung Fu guy. I have 1,000 confirmed kills in the Caucasus Mountains of, you know what I mean? Like,
and they had no like scouting infrastructure outside North America, and really outside of certain parts of North America. Like if you didn't fight in Florida, Nevada, California, LA, New York, I mean, even for a while, New York wasn't even shit, like North Jersey, really.
Right.
Because no one could fight in New York, so they all came to Jersey anyway.
Right.
Or Boston. Like, if you didn't have hookups there, you weren't getting noticed at all. You can be a 10-0 dude from Nebraska, and no one gives a fuck.
You were more likely to wrestle in high school and get very good at it and make that transition than you are to just like start fighting at a young age. Although now that's starting to change. I'm seeing a lot of kids about 15, 16, 17 years old now starting to pop up out of the woodwork. There's this one kid, shouts out to All Fight team. There's this kid, what's his name? Something Thomas. I don't know. Kid's 17 years old. He's from either New Zealand or Australia. He comes over to this country specifically to fight and train. That's all he does. He dropped out of school. It's all he fucking does. He trains all day. He runs up hills. He slams medicine balls. He punches people in the face. He does everything that you're supposed to do that I see professional MMA fighters do on a regular basis. He's doing that at 17, so I can only imagine there's like so many more of him in the world, and they're going to start popping up soon and making that next generation of fighter for leagues to get just better.
Which would be interesting. It'd be more interesting if those folks don't end up at the UFC. Like if they go somewhere else and make real competition for all these people. Like the best in the world right now fight at the UFC. But the world's big. And lots of other people have finally gotten investorships and like real footholds in other places and are really putting together some interesting fight situations. Like I don't know that one championships MMA roster can go toe-to-toe with all of UFC's today, but in 4 or 5 years maybe.
Well, it's still, I mean, that company's still technically in its infancy. It's not even a decade old yet.
Right.
So,
and they do way more than MMA. Like,
they do.
Their focus is everywhere.
Yeah, right. I mean, for a company that's only about 6 or 7 years old, they've done a fucking bang-up job. I mean, they basically locked that side of the hemisphere down as far as MMA. The only other place that I can think of is in Africa, and they do the UFC, and that's pretty big there. But as far as just that whole side of the world, one championship's dominated that whole side. It doesn't matter what the UFC's done, because their business models, like, the UFC works so well on this side of the world, because obviously, you know, everyone wants to be a part of the American dream at some level. And the prospect of you getting a platform to do some wild shit and make a ridiculous amount of money is so much bigger. In one championship, they take care of you pretty well. They take care, they give you a good salary. They give you good exposure, good platform, but they don't have a lot of those personalities like they do in the UFC, because they kind of shun them a little bit. Like it's more of like an honor, to be honorable is the bigger goal for that company, which is completely understandable, and I like it. But that's why that does so well over there, and it doesn't do so well as much over here. The other part of the reason why it doesn't do so well over here as much as because the UFC's got such a foothold here, and the times are so crazy. Like, no one's staying up till 3 o'clock in the morning or waking up at 6 a.m. to watch one championship. You know? Yeah,
and I don't have the numbers, but I definitely can say without having to have specific numbers that we are a huge, I have to say probably top 3, and we are not 3 market for fighting.
Yeah.
So if you can't get us reliably tuning in and consuming all your shit all the time, then you're gonna have a problem making all the potential money we have here.
Right.
We're not waking up at 3, 4 o'clock in the morning to watch this shit.
It's not happening.
Even when Floyd Mayweather showed up and trounced that poor boy in a fight that was definitely legit and totally not a fix.
Yeah. Wasn't no acting.
Yeah.
Involved.
That he showed up late for.
Yeah, that he showed up enormously. I love that it's still fake and then he showed up late to it anyway.
Like literally,
I gotta keep up appearances.
Gotta
keep up appearances,
directly
guys.
into the ring.
Yeah.
Beat this dude up in 4 rounds, I guess, and like left.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
It's even sadder because there's like a bunch of real fights on that card that like were pretty good.
They were like pretty good,
Yeah.
and they were excited to be there because Floyd Mayweather is a moneymaker for everybody who's on the card.
Right.
And no one remembers any of those fights.
Nope.
Not anybody over here anyway.
Well, I think Darian Caldwell got choked up on that one on that card. If I'm not mistaken.
Gabby Garcia fight in that card?
Did she beat up another old woman?
She beat up an old lady on that card.
I don't remember.
Who
She's beat up so many old ladies, and that old lady keeps coming back. She's like,
they have like drama. They have like wrestling beef.
Right. I was like, it's like you remember Yo-Yo Hakusho, that fucking red-haired guy that got beat up and would always come back and challenge people. That's her. She's getting fucking smacked around by a steroid monster, and she's like, I need a more.
Listen, I support her effort.
I do too. I mean, that's how you make your money. So.
Right. Like, what else was she doing?
Yeah. Exactly.
Being a legit fighter, fighting like actual fighters with like real talent, and
that
like
lady,
who have even amounts of like weight and muscle mass, and that lady, making $10.
That lady was a professional wrestler, I'm pretty sure, right?
She was, yeah. She was also like an actual like legit wrestler. Like she also wasn't like a professional fighter.
Oh.
But she was a pro wrestler for a while because in Japan a lot of them were, especially like before the year 2000.
Right.
Most professional wrestlers were actually like shoot fighters at some point.
I think she's my favorite female fighter.
The old lady,
she's
who's like, come, please continue wrapping upon my brain.
Yeah. Oh boy!
If you could chase me around the ring and grip me up with a single hand like I'm a baby and just beat me like I stole something.
It was even sadder because like you figure, oh well, maybe she's spry, and she wasn't. Like she just wasn't spry. She moved like an old lady. I was like, oh, this is dark, and then
it's weird
punched
because
her head in.
It doesn't even look fair. Like if you knew nothing about fighting, you see Gabby Garcia who's like 6'6", and like had to be 250.
Yeah.
At that particular point in time, and you see this lady who's like
5'8".
Gotta be 5'8", a strong 5'8".
Maybe 140 pounds.
Yeah, maybe. I'd probably give her 180.
Oh man.
But like it still wasn't good.
No. She didn't even do any cool wrestling shit. She just got duffed.
The coolest thing she did was show up with a mic like at weigh-ins and like cut up Japanese promo on her.
Right.
And then everyone, the press was like, "Oh, maybe this is serious."
That was one of the saddest displays I've ever seen. The other saddest display I saw was Chris Cyborg coming into the UFC, and she fought that little blonde girl. I don't remember what the fuck her name was. Like, she's not a bad fighter, but like obviously she's not Chris Cyborg good. And she went out there and she like curled up in a ball and just let her beat her to death.
Yeah, because they needed to find a sacrifice for her.
Right. They needed to find a blood sacrifice to keep the Chris Cyborg machine going.
And I think it was it her first?
She looks so scared.
It was for the featherweight.
Yes.
And they couldn't find anybody. Maybe they had. I think they maybe had a fighter previously.
I think
Drain dropped out or something.
I think Drain Randomy beat Holly Holm and was like, "Nah, I'm not fighting her."
Oh, and she retired.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if she retired, but she
vacated
the belt.
It was vacated. It was vacated by Dana because she wouldn't fight her.
Yeah, she gave up the belt. She was like,
she gave up the belt instead of getting a rematch, and since it was vacant. I think Cyborg was the number one contender.
Right, and then Amanda's like, I'm not fighting
her.
She
fought Tonya Evinger for it and washed her.
Yeah.
And then Holly Holm finally fought for the belt again.
Yeah.
And that was like her first decision in the UFC or something like that. It was her first decision in years, I think.
Well, I don't think it was Tonya Evinger. I know she beat Tonya Evinger. I remember that. But there was another little blonde lady that she just massacred. I'm
trying to think. Is it the one in Brazil that was a catchweight?
I don't remember. I'll have to look.
That was her first UFC fight.
Let me look at the little faces of these poor women that have fallen to her victim. Chris Cyborg UFC. I know it was in the UFC 2016. Lena Landsberg? Was it her? No. Yeah, it was Lena Landsberg. She got her in the second round.
Landsberg.
She tried a takedown. I remember she tried a takedown on Chris Cyborg, and was like, "This is where I die," and then she just stayed on the floor and then
this is where I die.
Yeah, she's like, "I had one moment and I couldn't do it." After that,
so I think I remember
that was her. That might have been her first. No, that was her second fight in the UFC. Leslie Smith was her first.
So I feel like that scenario also happened when she fought Kunitskaya, who's out there making half Brazilian babies now.
Oh, maybe it was Yana.
I think it was Yana.
I'm thinking of
she
her.
Backed into a corner and she just she was just like, "Please make it stop."
Yes. Okay. Now I remember her. Yes, that was her. Yeah, I was like, "Oh, she's gonna brutalize this poor woman." She did that takedown that she kind of got, but then like reversed her position immediately, and then was like, "Oh Jesus, please."
Yeah, that's when I think everyone realized there's like two different 145s.
Yes. But yeah, no, she wasn't a bad fighter. She was just like, clearly outmatched by a lot.
Which happens to be the case in the women's divisions. It seems these days.
Oh, she was an Invicta fighter.
Yana, yeah.
Yana, yeah.
I think a lot of them are.
I would say most of them are. Most of the high level ones are.
Was Aspen Ladd
was she
an Invicta fighter? I don't remember.
Was she an Invicta or was she a UFC product?
She might be a UFC product. No, she's an Invicta, I think.
She was an Invicta?
Yeah, she fought Eubanks in Invicta.
The GOAT?
The GOAT, yeah.
She's women's Artem Lobov.
Yeah, probably.
But she might be better.
I mean, I feel like
she won way more than Artem Lobov did.
Yeah, I think she's like 50-50 in her professional career. Artem Lobov is around.
Technically, Artem is above 500 now after his bare knuckle boxing matches.
After his bare knuckle boxing career resurgence.
Yeah. That was as close as you can get to a street fight bare knuckle boxing as you possibly could get.
Right, and that's Artem Lobov's life.
Yeah.
That's where he thrives, I think.
I remember they put like 6 inches of pads on his hand before that fight.
Which it's weird. Like, I don't know what the
Do you remember?
Legal requirement for hand wrapping is in the bare knuckle record.
They kept checking in, like the fucking crew was in on it. Like they knew. They're like, yeah, there's no fucking rules for this shit, and they were like, we're double checking. We're getting an update now that it is allowed as long as the knuckles are exposed.
Yeah.
Back to you, Tom. And I was like, Jesus.
That's when I realized that the commentary team also has no fucking idea what's going on.
Yeah, exactly. Or they're
literally calling it as they see it.
Yeah. Or they're just doing a WWE bang up job of I just remember I remember hearing the wackiest shit. There was another one where they were like, Tom, I don't remember their names. Tom, we're getting word that Artem Lobov has possibly put rubbing alcohol on his hand wraps to make Paulie Malignaggi's eyes burn. We can't confirm that right now at this moment, but that seems to be a rumor going around right now. I was like, Jesus.
Yeah,
bro.
I heard someone in the third row say it. So I just want to let you know what the streets are saying.
These are what the streets are saying right now. Also, that could be true because they didn't give a fuck. It's not like they would have stopped. They wouldn't have stopped the fight.
It was too late to stop.
Right.
Paulie Malignaggi was not going to let them stop because he thought he was going to win that fight.
I would have loved for Paulie to have been like, they go into his dressing room and he's doing the blood sport thing where he's putting his hands in glass. Totally legal. This is totally legal.
Or he's like tiptoeing in the back and Jason Knight's just kicking like a fucking support beam.
like fucking Tony Ferguson.
Like
no kicks allowed. There's no kicking allowed. Why are you doing that to yourself?
Is that still around?
What?
Did anyone come and regulate the bare knuckle fighting championship yet?
I don't know. They fight in Florida, so
they fight in Florida and Mississippi. That's like the two places they're allowed to fight.
Right, because that's
Biloxi or something.
Where most of those fights happen in real life. So
right,
they're just
you can just go to a bar and just figure it out, which is funny because I think they're headquartered in Philly.
Bare knuckle boxing? I think they did. They did have an event in Philly.
Did they?
I'm pretty sure they did. They've had 9 or 10 of them, and I think 11. And I think one of them has been in Philly. I would have loved to go to one.
None of them. No. Well, they may have done maybe some sort of proto event there, but looks like all of their events have been in Wyoming,
Shouts out to
Biloxi,
Wyoming.
Mississippi.
Hey, that's where Kanye did his Yay album, in Wyoming.
Tampa, Florida. Yeah, it sounded like he was doing Yay in Wyoming.
Yeah.
Fort Lauderdale, Florida was the last one. And they did one fight in Cancun, Mexico.
I don't know.
Which sounds like they just went to the beach and found tourists and was like, y'all want to fight?
Maybe y'all look drunk.
Hey, I got this thing.
You want to make $30 American?
American? Yeah, you can live like kings down here.
You live like kings in Mexico. They're like, we can't get anything with that.
Hector Lombard fought on.
Yes, he did. Apparently, it was very not good.
Who else fought? A bunch of people I don't. Dat Wen fought. Apparently,
Joey Beltran fought Bigfoot, and it was very, very sad.
Oh yeah, Bigfoot got washed.
He KO'd the shit out of him, and it was very sad.
Boy.
No, not Joey Beltran. It was Gabriel Gonzaga. Gabriel Gonzaga fought Bigfoot. Joey Beltran does fight there. He's like a reoccurring guy on like he fights like every card. Joey Beltran.
There's a super welterweight championship tournament happening
right now.
Yeah, there's been 2 fights. Well, it's supposed to happen at the I think part of the quarterfinals happened at the 10th event, which is the last one.
Okay.
And I guess 2 more fights are supposed to happen in the next one. Yeah. Whenever the 11th one, 11 is supposed to happen in June. Mm-hmm. And then I guess the semis and happen with the next one?
You know, that's strange that you bring that up, because I remember we were talking about, like, are there belts? Like, do they have belts there? Because people were winning things, like, they were putting things on them.
Yeah, like medals, I guess.
One guy had a belt, but it was, like, for some obscure, like, boxing promotion or something. So
right, it wasn't an actual bare-knuckle fighting championship belt.
Which I thought was strange, because I'm like, you guys are 10 cards in, and
you're just fighting for no reason?
You're fighting for no reason? You want nothing?
Right. I guess this might be their first championship. Yeah. Super welterweight championship tournament bracket with such names like Luis Palomino.
don't say such names like Luis Palomino.
And Jim Allers.
Yeah. Is there anybody on that list that you see that's like reputable?
Nope.
Not one?
Of course, right now they only have the fighters that would be in the event, I guess. Like the bracket literally has just like 4 fighters in it, and all 4 of them are names I haven't heard of. But like the card in June has Melvin Guillard on it, and Josh Neer. So like names you may have heard of.
You've heard them before.
No one who I would argue is reputable.
I would love for one like world-class striker to just go there.
There's a women's featherweight fight happening for the Police Gazette Women's Featherweight American Championship.
The women's, the female fights are actually pretty good on those, and that's not me just being like, fucking a loony progressive person, because, they're out there, but though they seem to be the best strikers in the whole thing, like in all of it. They seem to be the most technically sound.
Oh wait, we got championships. Hold on. We got a women's featherweight. Okay, all right. Women's featherweight champion Beck Rollins.
Okay, yes, she's actually pretty good.
Knew she fought there. I didn't know she was fighting for like top spot there. I figured she was there.
I'm pretty sure that Beck Rollins recently got signed to Bellator again.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Well, that's gonna be awkward.
Yeah. I don't think so, because I don't think either of those mediums care about each other really all that.
Probably
much.
not.
Yeah.
So these are all championships that seem to be sponsored by the National Police Gazette, right, which is a magazine apparently.
Which is strange, because bare knuckle boxing was illegal for so long. You figure it would be anyone else but the police sponsoring it.
The National Police Gazette, commonly referred to simply as Police Gazette, was an American magazine founded in 1845 under publisher Richard K. Fox. Became the forerunner to Men's Lifestyle magazine, the Illustrated Sports Weekly, the Girly Pinup magazine, the Celebrity Gossip column, Guinness World Record style competitions, and modern tabloid / sensational journalism. So this is just the proto fucking magazine, and it's sponsoring championships. I don't really get it.
It's the shadow government.
This is the deep state he's been talking about.
Yeah. Fuck. This is it. They really like bare knuckle boxing.
They have a featherweight world champion. and a featherweight American champion.
They used to make.
I don't understand the difference.
They used to make black people fight to the death in their basements. Now they're making regular people do it outside for the police. For the police, they're making people fight to the death for the police.
Oh man, they gotta fight for the cops.
Yeah, I gotta fight for the.
There's
cops.
a heavyweight world champion and a heavyweight American champion, and a lightweight American champion. What's the difference? Can only Americans have the American championship?
I guess so.
That's racist.
Does that count South America?
I don't know.
And Canada?
I have so many questions. A Canadian holds the world championship.
So, no, I mean for the American.
I need someone to. I need answers.
I need it. We need answers.
Your next interview needs to be the commissioner.
I tried to get Gabriel Gonzaga on. He almost did it. He almost did it, but then he's like, "I'm running a business," and I'm like, "That makes sense."
Yeah, I get it. Sir, what the fuck does any of this mean?
He gave me his phone number. I have his phone. I have Gabriel Gonzaga's phone number.
Maybe you should ask him, yo. So what the fuck is up with championships?
I know you're not in your business right now. So,
yeah, and also I know you don't actually run the bare knuckle fighting championship.
No, he runs a jiu-jitsu facility in Massachusetts.
Joey Beltran's going to be on a card. Whatever BKFC 12 ends up being.
I'm sure I can literally interview any one of those people on.
Chris Lieben also going to be on a card.
Chris Lieben's, yeah, he was fighting. He was blasting people in the face.
I feel like Chris Lieben is the right dude to ask her.
They should get War Machine back.
Dear War Machine.
Dear War Machine. They should just do it in jail. Oh my god, how crazy would it be? A fucking bare knuckle boxing in jail.
I feel like there's been movies about that already.
Yeah. Let's make it happen, Dana. And
wasn't Michael Jai White in one of those?
Yeah, he killed like Kimbo Slice or something in a bathroom, and like 6 other black people. We gotta stop killing our own out there. Mm-hmm. Michael Jai White. Remember when Michael Jai White was talking some spicy shit on the ghost of Kimbo Slice, and lo and behold, powerful black man Mike Perry stepped forward.
Yeah, Mike Perry was like, enough is enough.
You are a bitch ass nigga.
I can't have you out here,
Michael Jai White,
destroying our culture in front of all these people.
I can't let you destroy many years of oppression. Oh my god!
I'm so sad Michael Jai White and Mike Perry didn't fight.
They should fight each other.
Yeah, it doesn't even need to be in a ring. Like, I just want y'all to fight.
They should fight.
I just IG live it in the supermarket.
Who wins that? I think Michael.
Make sure you wear your detective gear.
I actually think Michael Jai White wins that fight. If we're being honest,
100%. I think Michael Jai White beats the shit out of Mike Perry.
Yeah, because also he's on every steroid known to man, and
Mike Perry doesn't need to win. Like he just needs to show up.
Yeah, he
needs
to show up.
Michael Jai White to punch him, then he wins.
Yeah, if he could get a pay-per-view set up to fight Michael Jai White.
Yeah, like, that's the most Joker shit I've ever seen.
What do they do? Are they doing bare knuckle, kickboxing, or MMA? I think he wins.
He might win all of those.
Yeah, I think he might win all of those.
I think it's actually probably to Mike Perry's benefit that it isn't MMA.
Yeah.
Because Michael Jai White has to have like 100 pounds on this dude.
Yeah, if he would fucking kick his head off.
Yes.
Because Michael Jai White's what, like 6'2"?
I don't know if he's that tall.
I think he's a tall guy. I think he's a tall guy.
I don't know. I feel like movies make him tall, but I don't know if he's actually tall.
You're saying they're doing what they do with Wolverine? No, Hugh Jackman's actually pretty big.
Yeah. Well, Hugh Jackman's he's
6'2".
Hugh Jackman's like under 5, I thought.
No, Hugh Jackman's 6'2".
Oh no, yeah, Hugh Jackman's too tall for Wolverine. That was...
Yeah. They have to make they're like crouched down.
Michael Jai White is 6'1". So, yeah, okay.
Kyokushin.
And you gotta be at least 250.
He's got like puka shell beads.
Yeah.
He's 52.
At some point in his life, he could have been a Hotep.
Yeah.
But instead, he's like karate guy.
Right. He sounds like whenever I read somebody's Hotep statuses or tweets, I'm trying to think of one that I saw recently. Here's a joke one. Someone, my friend shared this earlier from one of these fake Hotep pages. Let's see what it says. It said, forehead kisses are a colonial plan to permanently seal the third eyes of melanated people. But every time I read something like that, I read it in Michael Jai White's voice. Mm-hmm.
Fair.
As everyone should. Everyone should read every Hotep status and meme as if Michael Jai White was saying it.
Or like...
or Luke Cage, the guy that did Luke Cage.
What was it? what was the name of that doctor?
Dr. Huxtable?
No, that he's a doctor, but he's also like a preacher, and every once in a while he shows up on the Breakfast Club.
I don't know who you're talking about.
And I think he does it. I think
Al
they let him
Sharpton?
on it because Charlemagne just likes to be messy.
Is it the guy that was
Umar
eating that
Johnson.
Okay. I was gonna say the guy that was like eating that woman's vagina
No,
on video.
I think that's the opposite.
Yeah. Shouts out to Charlemagne for being a black man.
Is that all? That's all it takes.
That's all. That's all it takes. What else? What else is there in the world of? There's some stuff. Boxing's essentially dead. Haven't heard anything about Fury or Wilder. I mean, for obvious reasons. Nothing from Anthony Joshua.
I mean, Anthony, I feel like those fights happened just in time.
Yeah.
So there was no need to talk about and doing anything
else.
Like immediately.
Right.
Because like a third Fury Wilder fight wasn't going to happen this year, probably.
No, probably not.
But now it definitely isn't.
Right.
But I don't know that anyone expected to see that one before the end of the year.
No.
And Joshua beat the shit out of that poor dude.
He sure did.
It's probably hoping just forget that little incident.
Yeah.
Where that the random meat packer guy, he snuff him and live the life of a king for 6 months.
Well, he's still living pretty large right now. Literally.
Oh, he got a rematch paycheck. That dude's all right.
Yeah, he's doing good.
He can just stop fighting and be fine.
He was on some show and he was like, I will fight Deontay Wilder because my style is complementary to his style, and I would defeat him. And everyone's like, I don't think he
sir,
will. I don't
your
think
15 minutes is up, my guy.
Yeah. It's over.
Now's the time for you to be a reality.
What if he just like upsets? He just gets one upset per person. Like he gets it every big name.
If he did find a way to fight,
yeah,
get into a fight with Deontay Wilder and beat him, his career, he can just fight anybody.
Yeah.
Because everyone's gonna want to know a little bit.
Yeah.
He can fight fucking Billy Blanks.
Right. I spent some time the other day because there's not much else going on in the fight world, looking at this gentleman that like challenges people at the gym to box it, like not even challenges them. He just like, hey, you want to hold mitts or do a little light sparring, and then he just beats them to death. And he did that to Deontay Wilder. He didn't do that to Deontay Wilder. He said that he was going to fuck up his family or something, and then he called him the N-word a bunch of times. So Deontay Wilder showed up at his gym and almost beat him to death.
I beat the shit. Yeah, I think I saw it. Beat the shit out of him.
That happened. He does that for a living. He antagonizes people, and then just gets beat to death. I wonder if I can find it.
I forget his name. I think I know what you're talking about. He's not the only person who's done this.
No.
But
now that we have this power to share play things, I'm totally taking advantage of this.
This new technology of sharing your screen.
Start. Whole thing is here. That guy was warning. Fast enough to record the video from this call. The frame rate should be lowered to compensate. To prevent this warning, choose a lower frame rate or a size call. Oh, okay. Never mind. That's stupid.
Damage your computer bones so you can't actually share it.
No, I can't. It's sharing now, but it's just showing my desktop. Plus, I shouldn't be giving that guy any fucking additional press for no reason.
I mean, if it means he can get into someone else's gym and get almost killed, then it feels good to me.
That actually does feel pretty cool, knowing that someone does that. Someone did that to Derek. I don't think he does the same thing for a living, but someone did it to Derek Lewis at his gym, and then Derek Lewis almost beat that guy to death.
No, I saw that, and they were like,
so horrible.
And that's one of the other dudes, and he kept pretending he was going to quit and then ran back in, and then like his homies like pushed him back into the ring, and then Derek Lewis just beat the
he tried to get away, and then he caught a hook and was out, and then Derek still beat him to death while he was asleep.
He was just
hanging off the rope.
He was gonna leave. He ran to the door and was gonna leave, and they was gonna let him go. Then he didn't, and then that's when they were like, all right, now I have to kill this dude.
Yeah.
Because then he'll never learn. If he stays alive, he'll never learn.
Right. That's so sad that they publicly executed that man.
I mean, sad is a word that I don't describe, or I don't think applies here. It's good.
Is it good? Are you
Sometimes
one
you
of
have
the
to,
thinning the herd guys? Like this COVID-19 thing is washing the planet.
I think if you're a person who jumps into like someone's IG post or whatever, talking shit to someone who would definitely kill you,
Yeah.
or goes into a gym full of people who are training to kill people with their hands,
Yeah.
and decides to pick a fight with one of them, you should get what you paid for.
Which is nothing, but you still die.
Right.
You paid nothing. You probably paid more
nothing. It
to
was
get
probably,
to
yeah,
get
you
to
probably,
that place.
You probably lost money to get.
Yeah. That's
this is what we need. I think.
But to me, that speaks more to the mental health issue that we have in this problem. We don't beat up the mentally ill, Jarrett. Okay, come on, man, have a heart.
You don't, but I think there is a limit to what mental illness gets you out of.
Yeah.
If you show up to someone's gym,
right,
to fight. If you're talking shit on the internet, that's one thing.
If you're white,
you show up.
If you're white, you get away with a lot of that mental.
That's true.
Stuff.
That's true.
Those kids that said that did the TikTok, they should have said they were mentally ill. They would have been off the hook.
What's really fucked up is that they did it, then they started apologizing because they knew what was coming.
Yeah.
Then they lost their college, whatever the fuck.
Good.
Their futures are now in shambles.
Not hearing the wrong part.
And then instead of like just continuing the sorry train, because they're white, so we'll forget about it eventually. They just turn right back onto racism.
Oh, they went back? They doubled down?
Doubled down.
Did they make a part 2?
You just more Instagram, more of those like full page Instagram story pics, like rants.
Was it? I just don't understand why niggers are so upset. Was it one of those? Was it that?
Something like that. It was more like black people ruin my life, and you're just mad because I always tell them the truth, or some bullshit like that.
You're telling the truth.
Some just tripling down on racism.
Right.
When really you had an out. Like,
yeah.
If you just back up on the racism, give it a couple years, you can work on it. You can be on the NRA TV network.
Hey, by the way, Tommy Loren will have you as a fucking side host.
Right.
If you, by the way, if you just say some racist shit and then just don't for a second, just stop, right? And then you can come back. You can say all the racist shit you want. Just don't record it.
Right. Like, I don't know why.
Where are their racist mentors?
I don't know who. Yeah, where are their leaders?
Right. Where's Rush Limbaugh when you need him?
Who they should have ran that tweet by someone.
Right.
And been like, listen, I know you feel this way because I agree, but you don't have to put this out there.
Right.
You can just send it to, get a group of people, go to a subreddit or something, just send it to us.
Right. Well, no, I think they said it on TikTok, and then one of their classmates at their high school.
Yeah, they said it. Well, here's the thing. Also, though, like, why put it? Like, that's a public forum.
Because the Chinese don't give a fuck about black people. Okay, so the Chinese own TikTok, and they figured they were safe. They figured they were okay.
The problem is, other people are going to see it, not just the Chinese government. Because they don't give a fuck.
The other problem was it wasn't funny. Like on top of it already being just horrible.
The thing is, it wasn't actually a joke.
Yeah,
they were just saying racist shit.
They were just being racist. Like, they were just being racist, and it wasn't fun. If it was funny, if they used the form, I mean, maybe they were trying to be funny, and they're racist, and they just didn't understand. Everyone. We saw an open micer. We saw what happens when fucking what's his name from Seinfeld goes up there, just starts panicking and says the N-word a bunch of times. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So what the fuck was that guy's name? Kramer. Fucking Kramer. You know what I mean? They did their their Kramer TikTok version of whatever they thought. I've seen some really fucked up racist videos that I've laughed at because it was funny. You know what I mean? If it's funny, you can get over how racist it is because it's funny. But if it's just racist,
or you can at least make it like when the people come for you, and they will.
Right. Yes.
You can at least make an attempt to say this was me attempting to be funny.
Right.
It's ironic. It's whatever. You can use some sort of artistic license to explain it away.
Right.
If it's a joke.
Right.
You can't just say racist things and then be like, "I'm sorry, my boyfriend's actually racist. It's not me." He's rubbing off on me, I guess.
And then
I think
further
the blacks
pressure,
are people.
Yeah, and then further pressure. I doubled down.
Yeah, actually, I was lying.
I meant it. That. I meant all of it, and I hate black people. And it's like,
that's the problem with youth these days. Youth don't know how to be racist like in the cut anymore.
Well, I feel like it's the same as it's always been. It's just TikTok is so horrible. But it's almost like a marvel in technology because you can make something, you can be a nobody and make something. Like today, there's a lot of politics in Instagram and YouTube and all the other shit. Like, You know, you can have a serviceable talent and all this other shit, and you still may never get found.
Mm-hmm.
If you post something on TikTok, you can get like 600, 800 views for doing nothing. So if you are racist and funny and racist or whatever, or funny, but one or the other, you can get such a huge, even if it's cringy, even if it's not good, you can get such a huge feedback from such a large number of people, and they're usually in your age group. So I mean, I understand, you know,
but
why.
That's the problem, because it's so magnetic.
Yeah.
That no matter what you put on there, it's going to be found.
Yes.
Someone's going to see this, because that
it.
is a popping fucking platform, and people just go there to see shit. Like, it's what Twitter was 10 years ago. Right. It's what Instagram was, you know, even maybe 4 years ago.
Right.
But like, if you do something, someone's going to see it.
I
just don't know why, if they're looking for attention, why not just do a fucking dance video to the Tootsie Shuffle like everybody else is doing?
Right.
Get your 1,000-something likes and get the fuck and just keep it moving. Like,
yeah, do it in front of a Confederate flag if you want to.
Right. At least then we can't say you're racist. We assume you are, because you have a Confederate flag behind you. I don't know why you would be doing this in front of a Confederate flag unless you were racist, but you didn't say the N-word. So like, there's a limit to what I can do.
I've seen people are generally I think they're confused about what the Confederate flag is now. I feel like it's still race in my eyes. It'll just always be racist because of the only reason why it resurged is because of racism. That's it. That's the only reason.
There's no reason for us to assume it's not racist,
right?
Because it's only ever been racist.
It's only been, there was no like in between. Like, no, this is the year they helped a bunch of slaves. And then helped immigration into the country. This is the one edition of that year, Confederate flag. It's always like, no, they've always wanted slaves, and they've always hated everyone else. That was not
right. Like any other reason they fought. Even the Union, who also hated black people.
Right.
They at least they didn't.
We need these niggers to vote. What else can I say?
They were still fighting to free them.
Right.
Like, the South was like, but that sounds a little bit like you're infringing on my freedom, my dude.
Tiny bit. My
freedom to own people.
Yeah.
And like, even then, you can recontextualize, and like, there's been a movement, a campaign, if you will, especially for the past, I would say, maybe not the past, but like in the middle, maybe between somewhere like post World War II to like the 70s, where they just kind of, there's been a period where we just smoothed over everything, and like, this is actually just a cultural relic of the South and not racist.
Yeah.
And everyone just kind of assumed that was fine, but like,
it's not.
It's not. And now it's talking about how it's not.
It's doubly racist.
You don't get to say it's not.
Yeah.
But if you came from a position, like if you're a young 18-year-old or something,
right,
and the life you've lived was one surrounded by this racist thing that doesn't necessarily mean it's racist to you, okay, I still think you're an idiot. Yes. But whatever. You're dancing, you're doing the Tootsie slide in front of it because it's just a thing that you have. It's like a part of your life, a part of your family's life, whatever. I get on the internet. I go to theroot.com because they're almost definitely writing an article about this. I page through it. They're using lots of very funny slang to shit on you. But then I just move on because like that's a conversation I don't want to have. These people who may or may not be racist dancing in front of a thing that's definitely racist. Maybe they don't understand the context. Whatever.
Right.
Whatever.
Which is definitely people are stupid, right? They're dumb.
Right. We can get past that. That's fine.
Right.
But when you kick open your door and you've laid out all these like pieces of paper that you clearly wrote on before, and you're doing all this video editing, like you have to pour water on things,
thought about it,
cuts and shits.
They're like, no, this would be hilarious.
Just to make not jokes, just say racist things.
Yeah,
I can't help you.
Yeah,
and I don't understand how you young people
don't
understand the reach you have.
Well, I understand.
Who thought that you would never see that?
Do you know why they don't understand? They don't understand because it's not a real. They don't have any real issues to worry. Like they're like if they lived in Can you imagine if they did some shit like that in like near Camden or you know like any school with people of color? I will say
that's what it has to be. Like had they not met any black people?
They have apparently they have black people in their school, but like they live in a very affluent white town, so like they all are just comfortable speaking like that. So obviously, you know what I mean? Like, and they're not even facing any real repercussions. Like, as far as like not going to college you want to go to or whatever, I'm sure they're like, my dream college. Yeah, some fucking backwater, fucking public institutions, your dream college, you fucking loser. Okay, whatever. They'll go to community college, they'll transfer, people will forget, whatever. But the big thing that I'm gathering from this is like, and to even further my point is they're you said they went back and they doubled down. Black people ruin our lives. You know what I mean? They're still posting. One of them posted a picture. Oh, look at the tear. I'm crying. I'm tear. They did that. And I'm like, where the fuck are their parents? Oh, I know. They're the reason why they are this way.
Yeah, they're the ones who were racist before.
I'll tell you right now, if I posted anything even borderline racist, like even borderline racist, if I was in their age group, my parents would have fucking taken my shit away from me. They would have taken my internet away from me. They would have reprimanded me or whatever it is. The fact that they're still, like, saying whatever they want is, like, a clear indication to me that they're like, well, their town is okay with them just being openly racist. It's probably not even a conversation that comes up.
There has to... That's probably true. Like,
they're like, hey, Molly. Like, every day they just, like, they'll hi it to them.
At this point, there's, like, such a national sort of exposure on this. I can't imagine... their parents don't know this happened. Right. So it's like, yeah,
can you imagine?
Like, you're empowered somewhere. You're empowered somehow to like continue to act this way, and no one stopped you. Like, so that's because no one wants to stop you. Yeah.
The only reason why, like, you know, like business owners have to come out and make public apologies and like resign is because like there's a considerable amount of pressure for them to do that. You know what I mean? Like the shareholders like, we'll sell all our shit if you're fucking here still, or. You know, like, or a board is like, hey, you gotta go. Like, you can't be here anymore. You're damaging the fucking, you know, Papa John, I know your name's all over the fucking place. Like, you can't be here anymore, sir. Like, you can't just say the N-word and then just be okay with it. And then double down. And then say gays can't have pizza or whatever the fuck he says. I don't know.
And then eat 30 pizzas or 40 pizzas in 30 days or something.
Yeah. Yeah.
What a train wreck.
What a train wreck of a country. And you know what? I'm glad this is happening. Wipe them all off the face of the... Actually, you know what? It's actually more disproportionately affecting black people. Again, like everything else is. Like in the country, more disproportionately affecting black people and people of color than it is white people, which is hilarious because, you know... Well, I guess maybe it kind of makes sense because the Midwest isn't getting, like, stricken down by this, and that's where most of the white people are, so...
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, they're all... protected by the Mountain Dew.
You say Mountain Dew?
Yeah. Well, Midwest loves Mountain Dew.
You saying the Mountain Dew provides protection against the COVID? I guess if you do ingest that battery acid, it will give you like some sort of natural...
Do you think a virus wants to live in that environment?
I don't. No. I surely don't. But what if Donald Trump comes out tomorrow and he's just like, guys, I've enlisted the help from the Mountain Dew company. I put
my good friends at
PepsiCo, and I'll tell you, they've got the best vaccine, Mountain Dew flavored, that you can ever come across. That would be great.
It's the anti-COVID.
It's code COVID.
It's delicious.
Probably
I love it. It's my favorite soda. It's the best soda on earth.
He drinks an ungodly amount of soda a day, I hear.
Yeah, but like diet soda.
That's like just as bad as drinking.
I do drinking like Diet Coke or whatever, and eating like cheeseburgers.
He's been on this COVID fucking diet this whole time.
Imagine like looking at the White House chef and be like, "Nah, I got this," and calling McDonald's to like Grubhub that shit to you.
Shouts out to Kim Jong-un just taking the sweetest of L's during this whole thing.
I mean, that's what happens when you close your country off to like any outside interference. That includes like when you get a weird disease that was almost definitely coming to you. You don't have any doctors or any collaborative efforts to like.
How does it even get in? Like, can't no one get in there?
Well, people move in and out of North Korea all the time. We just don't know about it, and it's probably just like, you know, people who need to know. People with connections getting on the fucking super train underground or whatever.
Yeah, because there's no economy there. It's all black market. Like it's literally just whatever's in the black market.
They import whatever they can from whoever's willing to do business with them, which is criminals.
Usually ISIS.
Yeah. So like, there's not a whole lot like someone shady has come in and out and brought that with them.
I can't believe that ISIS still has like the strength and power of will to like still carry out terrorist attacks during all of this. Like, you guys, you don't want it to go home?
No, as long as there's one of
something
them,
or whatever the fuck you eat.
as long as there's one of them, ISIS exists, and
Yeah.
that's always been the thing. That's
Right.
the ideological war we got into 18, 19 years ago, and it's
They
never gonna.
They just arrested a group of dudes in, I think it was Germany, that was like planning to attack a military base in Germany. They had bought all this fertilizer and all these weapons and shit. And then, you know, I don't know how the fuck they caught them. Probably some Big Brother shit. But or maybe they're not even terrorists. They're just like, we just found these Arabs. We're gonna say they're terrorists, so people stop getting bad.
You guys look like these dudes I'm seeing on TV.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure what the connection is, but I'm gonna find out.
You're all related, right? Why do you sound like you're Italian? We're in Germany right now.
I just picture all police to be working in New York.
Use guys.
All police are NYPD,
Yeah,
no matter where
yes.
you are. Everyone's getting stopped and frisked.
NYPD or LAPD.
Yes.
One of the two. You're one of those two police departments.
You get a nightstick either way.
Yeah. Shouts out to Rodney the King. Shouts out to Ice Cube saying, what was that skit that he had? He had that skit. It was like, this fucking cops. I'm gonna do you like King.
Yeah.
And he was like, what king? He's like, Martin Luther King, Rodney King, and all the goddamn kings in Africa. I was like, Jesus Christ.
Remember
that was too clever for a police officer to say.
Ice-T and like whoever runs the social media for the band Trapped had like an ongoing beef.
Ice-T had a beef? Like a real one?
Yeah, like so it seems to be like a one-sided beef. And I guess Trapped is one person. I thought it was a whole band. I don't really know. But Trapped, who I'm assuming is a single person, just has just like an ongoing issue with Ice-T that Ice-T didn't know about until like recently, apparently, on the internet. And it hasn't stopped. And Ice-T's like, who is this dude and why does he keep tagging me and shit?
Wait, so Ice-T just didn't know?
No, apparently there was an issue. There's some drama between like Ice-T's old band, Body Count, and Trapped. I don't know what the drama was. I think someone just making up drama, like
yeah,
and associated to for some reason. But whoever the fuck in Trapped took this the wrong way and like just doesn't seem to like has not gotten over it. And it's now turned into a personal vendetta to like make sure Ice-T knows.
Right.
And Ice-T was like, and the first I saw it was like probably like last week, and Ice-T's like, I don't know who this is. And then apparently like daily, it's just been like recurring.
That's amazing.
And now he wants to fight Ice-T.
Social media has been a
Which
weird
I
landscape. I will pay for that pay-per-view. Ice-T to fight anybody. Social media's been weird because like I've been seeing like all these people do like these like weird high quality like DJing sets like on like Instagram like I don't know
how being locked in the house is like commanded like parts of the world I didn't know were going to happen like meet each other like Teddy Riley.
I was like who's calling for that? I've never even heard old heads be like, you know what I'd like to see have a DJ battle, Teddy Riley and Babyface in the middle of the night.
That's because no old heads want to see them battle. Like they just want to put some Teddy Riley on and now they'll try to fuck your aunt or something.
Right.
No one's like, you know what I need? I need a conflict.
I need 10 seconds of a fucking R&B song from the 90s, and then you play it.
I need these two to sing to each other. To battle sing.
Oh, MMA related. I did forget. There was one thing that I did see recently. I don't know if it's just a consequence of them just being all bored, but or them just creating something like in the wake of all these fights falling through and nothing in particular coming forward. Israel Adesanya like weirdly challenged Tyron Woodley. What was it? He said something around the lines. It was like Tyron Woodley. Maybe he was in defense of Leon Edwards. Israel said something along the lines to Tyron Woodley that he could barely beat 30% Kamaru Usman. Why would he think about doing XYZ or whatever? And then Tyron says, that he's scared of power and that he would never fight him. And then Leon Edwards is like, hey guys, I'm still here. I'm still here. You don't have to talk for me. He's like, basically, wait your turn to get beat up, Tyrone, and you've been looking for a way to get out of the fight. And it is an interesting. It just feels so fucked up because Leon Edwards is like arguably like a top 5 fighter in the UFC. If you really think about it, like he hasn't lost a fight in many years. He's been on a tear, and the guys that he's beat, it wasn't like edging them out. In a lot of ways, it was like how Colby Covington came up, right? Colby Covington has been handily outstriking people, standing in their face, beating them and all the other stuff. He's just not like annoying like Colby Covington is. But Leon Edwards has just as many accolades, has just as many big name wins, is as effective as a striker as anyone is there's to be in that weight class at 170. So it's strange and also not strange because I understand how the UFC works. Like you need to be a little bit of a draw, but the other part of that I understood for a while is if you're dominant, you're beating people dominantly, and you're exciting to watch, and especially if you're in the UK market, those guys that usually typically get funneled the bigger fights. So Tyron Woodley was one of those guys. Obviously, that's fallen through because of recent COVID-19 events. But Tyron Woodley is the only other person that I see in the media still that is still kind of like piecing stuff together for the next fight. He's not worried about fighting Leon Edwards the next time around. It seems like he is trying to find another fight. So I wonder what your take is on that.
I think maybe Leon Edwards' first problem is he only fights in a limited market. Like he needs to fight. He needs to be on cards in like Nevada. He needs to be in the Barclays Center and do one of these fights. I mean, for the outside looking in, like for someone who's just going to buy a UFC pay-per-view and watch it, it doesn't mean the same thing.
Right.
Or, I mean, more importantly, he's fighting on Fight Nights and UFC and Fox and UFC and ESPN. That's part of the problem.
Right.
Those are the fights that end up on TV for free that are going to happen on these expanded markets.
Right.
He needs to be on a card that's going to make him some money and get some eyes. He needs to be in Nevada.
Right.
He fights in Singapore. He fights in England. He fights in the Netherlands, which are all great places to fight and to know fighters because great fighters come into the Netherlands, great fighters come out of London, and he knows them all probably.
Singapore is a huge market. One of the more hammered markets by the One Championship too as well.
Yeah, they went in and were like, "Y'all Thai fight?"
Yeah, right.
Come on down.
Right.
But like I think he is limited right now by the places and the opportunities given to him by being on these cards. And like big fighters aren't necessarily showing up on these cards. And that's not necessarily true. Like Cowboy, he fought on a card with Cowboy main evented. He fought on a card with like Manwa main evented. He fought on a card with Dos Anjos recently. Right. But like sometimes just like fighting, just being near big fights and being mediocre can get you somewhere.
Yeah.
Not that Leon Edwards is mediocre. I don't think he's that at all.
No, but somebody like Mike Perry has got way more stardom than he does.
And I think the other part is Mike Perry is like on the spectrum.
Yeah, he's batshit crazy. He's on the spectrum, bro.
And like they just want to get a mic near him every time he's nearby. He's going to say something stupid. The same with fucking what's his name?
Mike Perry's on the fucking spectrum.
Colby Covington, who you can rely on to be problematic, and that's enough to get eyeballs. Because I'm glad you drew the sort of parallel between them because on paper the records are the same, right? Like
they're almost identical. Even their striking style is very similar.
They win lots of decisions, and they do so by basically bullying and by standing up close.
Right.
And I don't know that. I think exciting is. I think that's a pendulum kind of term. Like you can do that and be exciting. You can also do that and not be exciting.
Well, I think that's why I said Colby, because Colby does that and he is exciting in the way. If you like striking, if you like straight up striking, Colby and Leon Edwards are some guys that I recommend watching because they're very good at what they do. They're not boring. They're active from the beginning of the bell to the end of the bell, right? So like, they don't do bells. What do they do in? I don't remember. What do they do?
They do bells, don't they?
Do they? Do they do bells?
I mean timers. Like they don't. No one's ringing a bell. I think. But...
or does the ref go get it on?
Total line.
Yeah.
But like, Colby Covington got where he is not because he's a good bully striker who wins by decision a lot. Right. He got it because after that he pulls on a MAGA hat and starts wild shit.
Yeah, we talked about that. We talked about that. Like he was about to get actually kicked out of the UFC before he did some wild racist shit.
And I don't want Leon Edwards to decide the only way to get high profile fights is to put on a Klan hood or something. Because that's going to be
he should just do what like Kamaru Usman does or fucking Israel Adesanya does, just like wear that Nigerian shit.
Yeah.
just
be
be a hotep.
in London
Just
or
be
something.
a complete hotep and just be the opposite.
That's what he should do. If you need to get a character, be a hotep.
Yeah. Just be a complete fuck. Can you imagine if Leon Edwards just like his accent changed and he comes out in a fucking daishiki? That would be great.
And only calls Dana White Dana Black.
Yeah, Dana Black. Yeah, no, I mean, like, yeah, that's what he has to do. He has to fucking hotep it up and make a name for himself. He should change his whole identity to Black Panther. He should come out. That's his name. I don't even know what his name is now. What is his name now? He should be Black Panther. He should come out, do this every time he comes out. Leon Edwards, listen to this podcast. We're gonna get you to that next level.
Yeah, we got you, dog. Call me.
We got you, bro. We're Nigerian now. You and I are.
Everybody's Nigerian.
Everyone's Nigerian. If
you're Nigerian,
UFC.
I'm Nigerian.
If you're a person of color in the UFC, you're Nigerian. That includes Mike Perry. Okay, Mike Perry is no Nigerian.
This is true. But I mean, I think for Woodley needs to win that fight. Yeah. This is a good fight for Woodley to win for people to start taking him seriously again.
Right. If Leon Edwards beats Tyron Woodley, for a number of reasons, he's going to be the next person in line for a big something. It doesn't have to be a belt. It doesn't look like he's getting a belt anytime soon.
No, but like a high profile fight
right.
in his
like Jorge Masvidal or I don't know, anyone else that's like a big money fight for that guy, because he represents. Leon Edwards to me is such a good matchup to watch. I love watching him fight. Hold on, let me turn some fucking lights in here. It's getting darker outside. He's such a good matchup to watch on paper because he's active, and he mostly just does kickboxing. So, and to top it all off, his physical intangibles are so good. Like, he's got great endurance. He doesn't get tired. He puts on a heavy pace, and he's so tall. What is he, like 6'2", 6'3"?
Something like that.
He's a big guy. He's very tall, so it's very difficult for guys who are in that division and people that are at the top would struggle, I believe, a little bit against Leon Edwards because of his size. I
don't think Usman would, because they're like the same size.
I don't think Usman would either. No, Usman's about 6 foot.
Yeah, so I don't know what the reach is though. Like,
I think
2 inches on top doesn't mean anything, but like if he has 3 inches on his hands, and that might be
Usman's in that same, for me, is the same category as Khabib. Like, you could be a fucking, you know what I mean? Like, it doesn't matter who you are. Like, he's gonna figure out a way to get inside and grind you to the bone.
Of course, Usman has a longer reach actually. 76 inches to 74 inches.
Oh, wow. He's got long
He got them gorilla arms.
Yeah.
But
probably why he broke his fucking jaw, Colby Covington's jaw, from over his guard.
I think, like, this, like, I think that would be a great fight to target. Like, you have to.
Or Colby. Or fighting Colby Covington.
Or fight Colby Covington.
It'd be England
and then hit him
UK,
with some more, like,
USA
Jamaican shit.
Yeah. Yeah, that'd be great. I would love to. What would Colby even say to Leon Edwards? Like, what is just would he say racist shit, or would he attack England?
He would probably attack England. I don't think there has been like an American sprinter that's been anything like even remotely near competitive to Usain Bolt. So you can't just like shit on the like Jamaican like avatar.
Right.
But I guess he would try.
Right.
I mean, also saying some MAGA shit. Like,
yeah, he would just say some MAGA shit.
I think Colby Covington needs to get a fight in before the end of the year, because this MAGA shit might not turn out for him.
His time's running out. His time's running out on the.
It's gonna get a little shaky in November. Who knows anymore?
Yeah.
Gotta run that clock out. Get what he can.
I mean, like, Joe Biden's not winning. I mean,
no, I mean he might not, but like people were saying that about Donald Trump.
Yeah, but like Donald Trump didn't sound like he had fucking brainworms. Like,
no, but he's not good.
Yes, he did.
He sounded good in his primaries, but in the actual debates, people are like, "Yo, bro, like, I don't know, man. Like, you just kind of said the immigrant thing again, dude.
Yeah. Well, that's all you need.
You called that reporter. You made fun of that reporter for being disabled. I don't know, man.
Yeah,
that's not okay.
Yeah, no, people love that though.
And like,
clearly,
a dude who can't even put together sentences anymore because he's been talking for the last 80 years, maybe that's good enough for people. He's got like anymore.
Dementia. Like their fucking weekend at Bernie. It's so clear that their weekend at Bernie's-ing.
Oh, they 100% are. He looks
Joe
like
Biden.
He looks like he's punch drunk. He looks like a dude who's been like a fighter.
Who
fought for 20 years and doesn't have the money to like take care of himself anymore. So now he's 65 and like can't make sentences anymore.
Did you see that thing where he was talking about his golden leg hairs?
Yeah.
And he just he just started
God.
petering it out of the conversation in the middle of the conversation.
What was
He's like,
he did something.
They would pull my golden leg hairs, and that's when I knew cockroach. They
did something. I forget. It was like
I love cockroaches.
I guess it was like a COVID, like, what would you have done in this situation or whatever the fuck he did from like his den. Yeah. And he literally just stopped talking to them in the sentence. Yeah. Didn't even end it. No punctuation. Didn't even. He's just like, I'm done.
He's
literally
like,
all right.
He's the broken AI in Metal Gear Solid 2. When it starts unraveling and it's just like,
you should take a nap, and then it's like says it over and over again.
Yeah. I was driving towards the sunset and I saw a bright flash and I woke up and I was back in my bed, right? And like he's like doing that. I was like, what the fuck is happening? The AI is breaking down around us right now.
Listen, maybe that's what we need right now.
Yeah. No, that's not what we need.
Right the whole time.
I just feel like Hillary Clinton's going to be the vice president. And she's going to be pulling all of the strings.
Oh, can you imagine if he's like, I have a vice president in mind. Yeah. He's gonna blow your minds. And everyone's like, oh shit. He's about to do it. He's about to do it.
And then Joe Biden, day one, suicides himself, and now Clinton is now the president of the country. And Bill Clinton's the vice president. Again.
I love it.
Circle.
I can't wait for... And I wish they did it like the draft, like the NBA draft.
Yeah.
Where like all the potential vice presidents are in like the crowd. And he stands up at the podium, he's like, I'm gonna announce my vice president.
Oh my god, that'd be so great.
Like Stacey Abrams gets up and she's like, "It's fine, it's time, it's my time." And then she says, "Hillary Clinton," and then Hillary Clinton comes up from behind, and like does her little double wave in her fucking fuchsia pantsuit.
I was thinking about having Vince McMahon fast rope down to give him the letter.
Amy Klobuchar pulls out a gun and just shoots herself.
Yeah. What is this podcast anymore? Even I don't even know.
Hey, no one's fighting, so this is all we got.
There's no one fighting. All we have is conjecture. All we have is to try to brighten your days a little bit.
This is like the paid content ads at the bottom of the article. That's clearly just like 20 pictures of this chick that you knew from this TV show. She's hot now. This is that part of the show.
I've clicked on those before and I was not lit down. Sometimes I was.
Sometimes I was.
Sometimes I was, but sometimes I wasn't.
I don't know. Those they look disappointing.
A lot of them are. I remember one where it was like, "You won't believe what they found in this man's backyard," and it was like nickels. It was like, you found. I was like, I can definitely believe that. Like that's not.
That's all that's in backyards. It's nickels.
Rusted nickels from 1800. It's like, okay. I'm very upset that I even spent the time to read that.
Yeah.
Shouts out to the failing economy. But you know. Isn't it funny that like a couple months I saw a meme. It was like remember we thought Hideo Kojima was crazy for making Death Stranding, and it's like now we're living Death Stranding.
Yep. Not even it's almost came right on time.
Yeah, I mean it's like
about in November, and then in December people were like, I don't know, man. I feel like Asia's getting hit by this weird disease thing. And everyone's like, don't worry about that.
Yeah.
3 months later, we're like, I can't touch anyone. I can't be near. I wanted to order all my shit digitally.
And then the only essential personnel outside walking around are the essential is like
people delivering shit.
Delivering shit, right? This is the best thing. I'm gonna apply to work at one of those facilities soon.
Everyone is. You gonna make yourself essential?
Yeah, I'm gonna make myself essential, and then buy like one of those crazy ass suits that Norman Reedus has.
Yeah, everyone's Norman Reedus now.
Yeah, if you're outside, I play that whole Death Stranding soundtrack while I'm outside.
Just play a little low roar when I'm outside.
Yeah, just in case.
I actually decided to finally go back and attempt to beat that game.
I played like 20% of that game.
I got to chapter 6 and I was like, "You're wildin'." And
you're out of control. Oh shit! Have you played the new Final Fantasy yet?
I did.
I've been playing Warzone like a madman.
I have not played Warzone because it's like 100 gig download. I'm not deleting anything on my PlayStation. So
it's a thick download. It definitely is a thick download for sure. And they're just so I can
jump in, play 10 games, not win any, get him killed immediately, and just be upset like I did with Apex.
I played 300 and I got 6 wins. So eat that.
I remember back.
Atheist.
I think the only time I've been good at a battle royale was like during the Fortnite beta, like the early. Like I was like one of the first people on the internet with like a metal umbrella, because you can only get them when you won.
You played the beta, yeah.
I used to do guide work for it like years ago, so I was out there with the first responders.
In the trenches? Are you saying
trenches.
you're as valuable as 9/11 first responders? Is that what you're saying?
I was out there digging them out. And then like the game opened up and like 12-year-olds got access and it was a wrap for me.
Yeah, it was a wrap for everybody when that game became public. Because like I was like when it first came out, it was real simple. Very, very simple.
Yeah, because we're all bad, and then like someone figured out how to build shit with your like with the hands in the right position of your controller while you're running around. I'm like, I don't know, man. I can't. My hands don't do that anymore.
I'm not. I mean, I'm sure we could, but I'm not taking the time to learn how to do that.
This is a skill I could learn. But why the fuck would I do that?
Why would I do? I'm not going pro. So like, why am I going to learn
so I
to
can
do
beat? That? I can beat randoms and show no one.
Yeah.
I can stream to 10 people who are like, yo, you should get a job.
Am I going to beat Ninja out of his fucking job? I don't think I am.
Right.
It's not happening.
That he can berate me for being poor?
Yeah.
Is that what I want?
Yes. No. Yes! You saw that too? He was flexing so hard. I hope someone robs the dick off.
I was like, listen, like, I do not want people I definitely could kill with my bare hands.
Yeah.
Talking wild cash shit to me.
Right.
Over fucking Fortnite. That'll drive me insane. That would drive I'm not driven insane often. Yeah. That would be it. If Ninja was talking shit to me directly, and it's like, it's not just general. He's like talking to Jarrett Green, and I'm like, I could kill you.
Yeah.
And it wouldn't even be hard,
right.
But I can't because you're worth several $1 million.
Right.
And you're gonna be hidden behind a bunker of Red Bull cans, and I can't get to you.
Yeah.
That's gonna be infuriating. And why would I open myself up to this?
Right. Exactly. Couldn't have said it better myself. That would be cool to see streamers fight each other on a card.
We got a taste of that though with KSI and what's his name? Logan Paul.
Yeah.
And I don't know, man.
No, like MMA.
Well, the difference is
I want to see MMA fighting. I don't want to see boxing.
Also, those dudes are like they got in shape to do it.
Yeah.
They weren't necessarily good. Logan Paul could be good.
KSI I saw Logan Paul actually rolling with somebody. I'm like, actually, he's actually like a pretty good grappler. I was like
Logan Paul has the build for someone who'd be good at this.
Yeah.
At least grappling.
Yeah. No, he was good. He's good. He used to be a standout high school wrestler.
Really? I didn't know. I don't know.
Yeah, he was a standout high school wrestler. I don't know if he went to college for it, but he was actually. I'm not sure if he won a state championship, but he was. I think he was a standout high school wrestler in California, which is kind of a big deal because that's a big fucking state.
Yeah, California, and they have a pretty big wrestling community out there.
Right.
It's not like the Midwest, but
he
it's
can
enough.
do it. Like he can actually grapple. It would be interesting. He is one of the. I know a lot of people are like, I don't want Logan Paul to blah blah blah. But I'm like, he's actually got better accolades than CM Punk, and you guys want to see that fucking idiot fight.
That's true.
I would watch Logan Paul fight. I would watch
Logan Paul fight CM Punk specifically.
Well, he would wash him.
They're like different. They're whole different human beings.
Yeah,
as far as size is concerned.
CM Punk might as well have a 60-year-old man's body.
That shit is different at this point.
Yeah. I would like to see him fight. I would like to see him fight, a lower level guy like me. I don't know, like Mike Jackson or some shit like that. Like just to see what he looks like in an MMA fight because I don't know that he could do it at 190 pounds like where he boxed at. I think he would get absolutely murdered. He's not that big. I mean, he's big, he's cut, but like. Yeah. Those guys are like 6'4" and 6'5" and shit. Right. You know what I mean? They're gonna ragdoll his ass around. I'd like to see him make a weight cut and fight about 170 or 155. I think he can and he knows how to weight cut. He's wrestled before, so it'd be interesting to see what he would do as a fighter.
Maybe I wonder if he does know how to weight cut though, because I feel like a lot of his fitness is clearly aesthetic. Like he's not out here doing feats of greatness. He clearly looks. He looks athletic, and he might be.
Let me Google it because I know that he was wrestling at a lower weight because he didn't wrestle at 188, 190. There's no way he was doing that because those guys are fucking massive at for wrestlers. Logan Paul, high school wrestling. Let's see. 2013. He qualified for state level Ohio. Oh, not California. I'm sorry. He qualified for wrestling in Ohio. Which is
even better.
Yeah, that's way better. He was an all-star linebacker. What the fuck? Takes fifth and so he took fifth in state. So let me see in Ohio. So let me see what his weight class was. So he was competing at 182. So when he fought, he was out 188, 190. In high school, he wasn't doing much of a cut. So he's probably sitting around 185, 190, right? So, That's a hard weight cut. So maybe 20 pounds is a hard weight cut. So maybe he can't make 120. So maybe he can't make 170. So maybe it would be like a catch weight or something.
Mm-hmm. Which, I mean, he doesn't need to be competitive, and he just needs to do it, like, to make money.
Yeah. Exactly, because he didn't fight that KSI guy for a belt. Like, he's fucking...
Right, he doesn't need to fight for a belt. He needs to fight for some cash.
Actually, if he's smart, he'd just do it himself on YouTube. Like, just fucking stream.
True, I'm sure he could call some YouTube executive up and make it happen. Like,
or DAZN. He'll just call DAZN, like, because DAZN will definitely make that happen.
Yeah, DAZN's they're at circus level right now. They do whatever the fuck they want. Like,
yeah, exactly.
But I wonder, like, could Dr. Disrespect fight someone? Probably not.
Probably. He's a big guy. Isn't he like 6'2", 6'3"?
He might be, but he's not like an athletic dude.
Yes, he is. I mean, I don't know. I haven't seen him apply athletics, but apparently he's a big bodybuilder and lifter. And up until this point, I thought that didn't mean anything until I saw Paulo Costa. Paulo Costa was only doing bodybuilding his whole life, and he's like now fighting Yoel Romero, which I don't understand.
The thing is, though, if you're just like a walking muscle, then
true.
You can get yourself through some shit.
Right.
But like, I don't know. Is like Dr. Lupo gonna fight someone?
I don't know.
I'd watch that.
Summit? Would you watch Summit fight somebody? Summit should fight fucking Ninja.
Yeah.
That would be great.
Or like Daquan fight Ninja. Anyway, really, Tron fight Ninja.
Yeah.
And the winner fights what's his name? PewDiePie.
PewDiePie versus Ninja. That'd be great. PewDiePie caught the robbery of the year. Like, was that last year or 2 years ago? They robbed the fuck out of that guy.
Oh yeah, he got a Wild L. And that was the same year, I think, where he was going to get that Disney money and fucked up.
Yeah.
And New York Times like, take that, actually. And Disney was like, oops, never mind. You might be a racist.
you might be a neo-Nazi hate symbol.
And we're not going to look very hard to figure it out. If someone's saying you are, you probably are. So you're done.
Didn't someone scream subscribe to PewDiePie before they killed a whole bunch of people?
They did. And it was the shooting in Australia?
Was that New Zealand?
Yeah.
Was that New Zealand?
Yeah.
Fuck.
And I think people were doing it all, like, people were sending it and like had people's printers and sending it with bomb threats and shit.
Yeah. What is PewDiePie like Osama bin Laden? Like, has anyone looked into this at all?
They've been doing nothing but looking into it for the past like 3 years. The problem is he's not doing anything.
We don't know that, bro.
He is creating an environment where people want to do it for him, which is like maybe worse.
Which is Osama bin Laden. That's what he's doing. That's
the difference is Osama bin Laden's like, you should kill the Western heretic.
Yeah.
I'm not going to, but like, look what they did to you. You should probably do it.
Aren't you a Saudi oil prince? This isn't about me.
Let's not talk about it.
This isn't about me.
Why are we talking about me?
Yeah.
And PewDiePie is more like, all right, wouldn't it be funny though if I went on Fiverr and like made these Africans like dress up in like racist shit? And just do that for a while,
and then
like, that's not really funny.
I've seen like 5, those kids that did the TikTok did more damage than he did directly. You know what I mean? So like,
the
we're
problem
there.
Is, like, he says things and makes these jokes and makes like talking about these things like normal.
Yeah,
he kind of normalizes the conversation around these things, but not in a way that's responsible.
Kids,
he's not making jokes. He's not like a comedian.
It's mostly small kids too, so I can understand.
Right, and they're taking it to the next level, and he's already like very antagonistic against like mainstream media, blah 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 blah, who's covering these things in a particular way, which might not be like the right way, but there should be someone pushing back against PewDiePie, and the people who are doing it like maybe the wrong way. So he now makes them the enemy, and now these militarized 10-year-olds are like, yeah, they are the enemy.
And they're like, suicide bomb MSNBC!
And then like PewDiePie is getting like linked to like on the next playing sidebar in YouTube. It's just a people who are actually like a step worse now. So like after they watched this PewDiePie video where he was like joking, haha, about anti-Semitic shit, then you click on the next dude and he's actually anti-Semitic.
Yeah, and that's how fucking John Lennon died. You know what I mean? Someone read Catcher in Their Eye, and they're like, I gotta kill John Lennon. So you gotta prepare. You gotta prepare for those guys. You know what I mean? Some kids might take it as like, black people are not people. And then, but the extreme of that is like, I should blow up a fucking mosque or something with kids in it or whatever.
And the problem is that dude probably didn't do it for PewDiePie. He just did it because, because
he's a fucking alt-right asshole on 4chan.
Racist shit.
Yeah.
Ironically, it's funny to some people.
Yeah.
And
It's
it just so
so
happens
horrible.
he tagged
It's
that to a
so
mention.
horrible that all those people may have died for the lulz. Like they may have just died because not even because of racism. Like they might have just died because he thought it was funny,
Right.
in his brain.
And the thing is, he didn't leave a manifesto that was like full of racism. But
right, yeah, he did.
I guess the problem is we're not like, I don't know that we're that far away from like someone doing something stupid for the lulz. Like everyone wants to be the Joker to the Joker.
Right. Well, that's what I'm saying. Like the manifesto, that's all things you expect, so they stop looking into it more. But or you're just psycho and you want people to look at it. But I'm sure all those racist things he said were 1,000% true. For him, not the racist things weren't true. I should clarify.
The manifesto wasn't actually like
I'm
an
not
encyclopedia.
a New Zealand shooter sympathizer.
Right.
But
he actually felt those ways.
Yeah, he felt those ways, and then he was like, but I'm sure he's got like a bunch of Pepe the Frog memes,
right?
Reaction images on his phone. It's funny how racists have kind of claimed that.
I mean, they got in the ground floor.
Yeah.
Because a lot of those people, we all came from the same internet culture, but the internet culture was like amorphous for a while, and then politics kind of like jump shocked it, and then, well, really not even politics.
I would say Hillary Clinton kind of ruined it for everybody, because she was like, the frog is racist, and everyone's
she ruined it for everybody, but like Gamergate maybe ruined it for everybody before that. And then all those people were like, what else could I hate? And then politics happened.
What else can I hate? Yeah. Can you explain? I feel like we've talked about it before. I don't fully understand what Gamergate really is. From my minimal understanding, they were giving shit to this woman for sleeping up the ladder. I don't even know if it was true or not. Or
game developer, what's her name? Zoe Quinn. She had her boyfriend at the time caught her cheating on him with a few. I think what he found out is that she was cheating on him with a person who ran like a video game sort of award thing, like a little video game award thing, and the winner got like a grant or something like that to make their game. And she had a relationship with like the dude who was running it, and she also happened to win the grant. So there was like, I don't know what that's about. Some and he would then find out that she had relationships with some other dudes in the industry, some of which were press, and he was trying to draw the lines that maybe her relationship with this dude at like, I think Kotaku, was the reason she got press at Kotaku.
Gotcha.
And he was laying out this idea that like she was basically sleeping her way to get notice, and the game industry is full of this.
Right.
And that militarized a bunch of people who were looking for reasons to like hate
women, like just women in the industry.
At the same time, so I want to say 2007 or 8 started like kind of like a new approach to writing video game sort of stuff, where people were not doing like clinical just like feature reviews about the games anymore. People were trying to like new journalism it. They were trying to like, I don't know, apply like other people were like using other sort of mediums to use as like metaphor for video games. Like we weren't just comparing video games to video games anymore. We were like, if you're going to make a video game supposed to look like a movie, I'm going to compare it to movies. I'm going to use my understanding of how movies are made and how movie stories are written to compare your video game story. And that was making people look at video game stories and say, maybe they're not as good as we thought they were. And people who played video games from when they were 6 were entering the industry, not having the same sort of bedrock of video game, I guess, experience, but taking other experiences and using that as a way to reflect video game writing in a way that people hadn't seen before. And what that was turning into was like people at video game outlets were having opinions that gamers didn't have. So like reviews were coming out and saying things about video games that were like bad or questionable, but like people who were playing the video games didn't find it that way. And there was a growing disconnect between the people who were reading these things and playing video games, people who were writing, and the critics. And that was creating like a tension. And I think it took Gamergate for people to start putting together probably incorrectly in my opinion, that like the problem is SJWs are making everything worse. People are coming in from other outside areas and attacking video games for things they always...
So SJWs are just one of the many groups of people kind of invading the space, but they
they're invading the space, trying to repurpose it.
Right.
And she got caught because what she was doing probably wasn't great.
Right.
Like, and she exposed what was
possible.
What is a really weird interaction that was probably not the first or last one.
Hey, sorry to break it to you gamers, but this is how the world works.
The problem is this is how video games have worked forever.
Yeah.
Video game writing has never been, and in fact at that time it was the most separated from video game publishing or whatever that it's ever been, really. Mm-hmm. But before that, like, you were reading Nintendo Power when you were a kid. Guess who fucking published Nintendo Power? Nintendo. Yeah. And guess what they never said in Nintendo Power? Said Nintendo games were bad.
Yeah.
Wanna know why? Because they were paid to say they were great.
Yeah. Right. And
like, this is at the same time video game streaming is becoming a thing. So like, people are getting paid to go on the internet and not talk bad about this video game. They're being paid literally to play a video game and say it's good. Say nothing else about it. Be completely non-critical. What they're being paid to do is say this game is good. Right. And what they were saying, they were saying and trying to take this as confirmation that the video game industry is full of people being paid by publishers to write a bunch of things and put scores on video games based on like the highest bidder, basically.
Right.
And there's been no real evidence of that in the past. Mm-hmm. There still hasn't been. It's probably happened. If we're going to be honest, it's probably happened, mm-hmm. but no one has any evidence of it. And it probably hasn't happened in big places. Mm-hmm. But people were saying this is clearly evidence that it happened. So anytime someone has written something that we disagree with, maybe they were paid. And it became like a giant attack on the industry as a whole, but specifically particular elements of the industry, which were women, it turned out.
Right. Right. I mean, like, what she did was shitty, but that's not a reflection of all women as
right. But then
writers.
She became a reflection of any woman who has an opinion that I thought was stupid is because she's a stupid woman who probably A, slept her way into this position,
right.
B, got paid by a publisher to say these things, or some mixture of the two.
Right. Not that you're psychotic and
right. Not that maybe it's your fault and that
right.
you don't have to be so personally attached to the words somebody are saying about a game you like. Maybe you can just like it and not.
Maybe you can just enjoy the game and not just fucking burn a woman at the stake because.
Because but people didn't get that far.
Right. They typically don't though. Like, and you see that with just about all of those people. They might not all believe the same thing, but they have the same line of thinking, right? So like. If like when voting issues were coming along during Obama, and like illegal immigrants are the reason why he won. We got to get him out, and then like Trump is right. We got to get him out, but they didn't impact the election. It's like well, make up your mind. So
and it's more like not only did especially illegal immigrants got him elected, I guess, according to him.
Yes.
And then I guess they got him elected again for a second time.
Right.
And then when he was running, he was like illegal immigrants are definitely voting, probably by the millions.
Yes.
And then people were like, finally, people were like, all right, maybe we should look into this.
Yeah.
Because people have been saying this for at least 10 years.
Right.
And we just assumed he was being racist when Obama did it.
Right.
But like now he is trying to, I guess, brace the country for if he loses, clearly it's because the immigrants are voting in millions.
Exactly.
So people start looking into it. They're like, well, there's clearly literally never been like a viable, like credible case of voter fraud that we could find. In fact, the ones that we have found, which happens, maybe 0.5% of the time in the entire history of voting, were just like angry Republicans.
Right.
So I don't know what you're trying to say, Mr. President. He's like, don't worry about that. And
actually,
then he won, and he was like, you know what, it's still out there.
We found it more often that you're suppressing voters than you are.
Then he wins, and then puts together a committee to go find these fake voters. Yeah. And it's like I don't understand how we become a person or people who can brace yourself for losing, win, and still pretend you lost. Like that's and this is the first time I saw this was in Gamergate, where a lot of people were saying this thing that's happening is definitely happening. Everyone's saying, well, clearly it hasn't happened. We're all telling you it hasn't happened. You can't go into these meetings and find these people, but it hasn't happened. But if you want to be upset, what you should be upset about is that video game companies don't want to give any journalists actual access to ask actual questions and do any real journalism, because we can't, because you don't let us play their games yet. If you ask the wrong questions, we're not getting their game.
They're lucky they don't have press conferences like the UFC, because like the reporters just show up and just hound them, and he's got no
you
choice.
Imagine Rockstar having a press conference,
oh my God.
or EA having a press conference where
hey,
the media just shows up.
Make a new fucking Madden game that's not the same game.
And there is no industry like video games where the people who make the thing have almost complete control over the kind of information they give to people asking questions.
And no one really asks any questions about it.
And no one's ever asked questions about that. No readers asked questions about that until Zoe Quinn slept with a dude. Yeah. And then all these other writers were like saying games that they loved for years probably aren't that good, actually. And then everyone got upset.
Yeah.
And nothing has really changed. In fact, it's actually gotten worse. Like, video gamers get paid to do exactly what you're saying they're doing. It's obvious. All of these streamers that are making lots of money, your favorite streamer is probably getting paid to play a game.
You can watch the stream. There are very few streamers who will not, that they'll ball lather a game that's falling apart. Like that they're playing is falling apart. But they're doing it a little bit more sneaky now. I saw who was it? Who did I see recently? I think it was Shroud. One of the guys. I don't know if he's like, like if you're talking. So there's Dr. Disrespect. I'm pretty sure is sponsored by Call of Duty, because he started out playing Call of Duty.
I feel like he's been playing it for years, and he's always getting like way early access to the shit.
So his thing is like isn't really as much as talking up the game as being a character. So maybe he slides away from it a little bit. But guys like Shroud and all these other big names, they're not doing a character. They're doing themselves. So you can kind of see how not transparent they are when they're playing the game and talking.
PewDiePie himself was like notorious for this. Like he would just be playing video games, and like clearly he is playing it because someone asked him to. Like he's not playing this because he found it and thinks it's interesting. Right. Because we've played games. I've played games he's played, and I've watched him play the game and have the same problem people have, and he's not saying anything about this.
Right.
It's the problem.
Right. There's what the fuck? I think it was Shroud. I'm sorry if I'm misquoting the wrong person, but somebody like Shroud. I'm pretty sure it was Shroud, but somebody of that esteem. They do a lot of first-person shooter games. They're in the public light, and one of his complaints is, I'll play. It's a good game. It's fun and incorporates a lot of things, but just like every Call of Duty game, will be done in like a couple weeks or whatever it is. And we're going a month strong. It's still like the top fucking battle royale game. And to me, Call of Duty is one of the most successful first-person shooter franchises of all time.
It is the most successful.
There's no reason for me to believe that that's just gonna go. He's like, it'll go away. I don't think it will. I don't think it will just go away. I think it might lose some people over time.
I think as a popular streaming battle royale, maybe, because the original battle royale that the last Call of Duty launched with kind of came and went. But Warzone kind of like doing a whole thing. Because
it wasn't all that great, and Fortnite was there, and then Apex came out and just shut that down, and it was released at a bad time. I think they just released that game to get the framework of this new Warzone that they have.
It definitely wasn't going to be the last one they did, for sure.
Right. So but it was just very clear. I'm like, I don't think Call of Duty is going to put this much time into this game. It broke the record for the most downloads in one day for a game. It was 26 million downloads. Fortnite did just a little bit less than that. Apex did a little bit less than that. Those games are still pumping out seasons like nothing. So even if it's like mediocre and they don't fix anything, it's a Call of Duty game. People are going to play it, and it's free. Of course people are going to play it. So it was like they weren't very transparent as far as that goes.
And they never are. And like it's such a weird like sort of two tongues thing when people get like, and you don't see a whole lot. I mean, you do, but it's not as loud as it was in 2013, where people were like saying how much they hate the idea of this happening in one part of this business, and then like willfully just turning on another part and just like letting it happen to them.
Right.
It's incredible. And I think part of it is maybe just like they want it to, or they know what's happening, so they feel comfortable about it or whatever. But the other, I don't really understand how you live that way and can be so fucking shitty in one sense and not so shitty in the other.
Right.
But I mean, streaming is a whole thing. Streaming is like a thing that I think even a lot of like traditional video game press thought was just going to be a phase, and need to realize now that it's actually bigger than you. Yeah. And everyone's kind of coming to that too. So like, it's not like people's hands are clean here. But
right. People will go to their favorite streamers platform just to watch them play a game that they think about buying. So like, of course, it's kind of, why
and
not?
Sometimes,
it's better in a lot of ways.
Honestly, and they're getting way more support from video game people who make the games because they know you're not going to be critical about it. So it's PR. Like if Myth goes and plays your fucking video game, like he's probably you're gonna direct him to not be mean about it. He's going to play a game excited for about an hour or two, maybe for a week, and it's going to look real good for you because he's not telling you the problems of this game.
Right.
He's just going to play it and be excited about it.
Right.
And like if I'm Bethesda, who's almost outright said we don't prioritize press anymore for obvious reasons, like I'm clearly going to give it to a Twitch streamer. I can say you get paid if you say this game is good, or at least you don't say this game is bad, or I can't do that to IGN or whatever.
No.
And that's a dichotomy that's naked and clear, and anyone who's like, man, clearly this woman was paid because she thinks Pokemon's a 7 is like, that's ridiculous to me. That's complete like that's weird. Like, do you jump on like movie forums and be like, I mean, I guess they did for a while, for like the Marvel movies, they did that for a little bit. Right. But it's weird how that didn't happen. At least I wasn't aware of it before 2013, and it's like everywhere now.
Right.
It's like a dichotomy we just live with now. It's like normal now. We just assume people think that because you have titties, you're here because of your titties. Like,
yeah.
Not that it's ever not been true. Like any business, everyone's always thought that. Like you get shit on all the time because you're not the in, you're the other.
Which is fucked up, and not for the reason you think. For me, like no one ever just assumes I'm around because of my dick. You know what I mean? Like I wish more people would be like, hey, that guy's around because he's got a fat dick.
That guy's got the wild dick.
I'm not gonna. That's sexist, sir. But. He's not incorrect. I am here because of my giant fat dick, and I'll tell you what. Like, what if there's a woman that did that? Like, yeah, I am here because I sucked a lot of dick. Who's going to stop me? Who's going to stop me?
And people are like, the whole titty streamer thing. Like, you're getting views because you're wearing low cut shirts. There are some women who are like, that's absolutely why I'm getting views, and they make it their character. Yeah. But the idea that that's actually like the truth is wrong because the top 10 streamers on Twitch are probably not women.
No. No.
So if you're failing, it's not because you don't have titties. You're failing because no one gives a shit about you.
You're fucking uninteresting.
Right.
That's what it comes down. Yeah, when you really think about it, most of the guys at the top are they're dudes. They're usually dudes, and they figured out a way. In a lot of ways, they're making it harder for themselves to break that mold. Just playing towards simps, like just like getting simps to tune in. That's such a small audience of men. Their audience is kids. Yes. Because they have clean streams, they're able to rake in so much money as a result because they're able to go into people's homes and people buy Ninja bands and gear and they watch their thing. So in a lot of ways, you can't even say that because women are showing some titty. Yes, that makes their audience solidified and defined. Because if they put clothes on, maybe they wouldn't have those same people. But the reality of the situation is it hurts them a little bit. It hurts their image because they can only do that now. Unless they hit it big and, by random, they are multi-talented and they're able to figure out a way to elevate their platform doing something else. And by consequence, it makes their streaming platform bigger. I can see that happening. But if you don't have any other talent, or if you're just a gamer and you just want a game, it kind of limits your abilities because I'm pretty sure you have to mark not for kids on most streaming platforms if you truly are not for kids. Like on YouTube, when I post things on YouTube, which I'm going to do shortly after this conversation for the next couple of interviews that I have, shouts out to Casual MMA Police and McDojo Life. It asked me, hey, is this appropriate for children? And if you get flagged for inappropriate behavior, they might take your account down. So if you only have 1,000 people is a lot for somebody like you and me or anybody really, especially if they're all donating and subbing. But that might be your total count, unless you become a porn star, unless you become a model, unless you do all these other things. Like they might have just reached their plateau at 1,000 or 2,000 or 3,000 people the most, because that's the most they can do with the platform and what they've chose to do with their character.
Though to be fair, that's all you really have to reach in order to like walk to a next step, because being a micro influencer is very valuable these days. Like if you have a small community that interacts with you reliably, that's all you need really. Like if fucking, I don't know, MailChimp or that fucking our fucking bed company thinks that like half of your 1,000 viewers might go, or not even half, it'd be way less than that. If 10%, 5% of your viewers take your code and go to their website and buy a thing, that's way more reliable than going to trying to like advertise an NPR or something.
Yeah.
Like they much rather have these people with small communities that will almost reliably do exactly whatever the community leader says than some person with wide reach that they can't sort of rely on.
Right.
And if being a titty streamer for a year gets you to 1,000 to start that trek to Instagram life or whatever the fuck, then that's them thinking bigger than you. If you're a dude who's like, I don't know how I can get more than 70 followers, and every time I turn around, it's these titty streamers just making all this money. Maybe you're not thinking big enough.
Yeah, you gotta figure out what your talent is.
Maybe you can't just go on the internet, or maybe just going on Twitch and playing video games for a living isn't for you, my dude.
Maybe you gotta get a fucking job.
You know what? I want to be a CEO of a big oil company, but I'm not white, so it's not gonna work out for me.
I saw some e-girl streamer. It was kind of dark the way she was talking to her followers. It was so fucked up, but at the same time, like, if they're still there, they deserve to be there. She's like, I don't want to hear that you can't afford.
I just saw the video 2 days ago where like if you have time to come here and watch me, you have time to pay $5 or $10 for sub.
Because if you don't have that money, then you arguably need to be out working to get it. And
I'm over here doing I'm doing a job and not getting paid for it if you're not subbing.
I went through such a range of emotions at first. I'm like, who the fuck is this? And then I was like
and then I'm like, is she wrong?
She's kind of right. And then I was like, you get a job. What are you doing? I went through all of those things. But ultimately, she's not incorrect. Like, she's definitely not incorrect. But
she's laying it out. But I'm not going to. But I appreciate the energy.
Yeah, I'm like, you almost got me, you tricky bitch. But not this time. No, I just thought it was interesting because I'm like, in a way, like, you kind of have to behave that way to your fan base if you have that type of simp fan base, because that they like. It's in a way, it's kind of like stepping on their balls. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Like some guys that like that. They like to get beat up a little bit, and that was her way.
Sometimes it's a character. Like sometimes, like Casey Tron made her life this way. Like she purposely would wear low cut shit and then play games badly because she knew it would make people a whole lot of people very upset.
Angry, yeah.
And they would be upset. They'd say terrible things to her, but they would come back the next day.
Right. Who was that? Who was the one that was selling her bath water? What the fuck was that girl's name?
What the fuck is her name? Not Darshell. Somebody else.
Belle
Delphine.
Yes. Yeah. I love that girl, but not because she's very attractive, but I love her because she knows like exactly what are going to make people very upset.
Right. Like she got every headline she thought she was going to get.
Right.
Some people even bought the shit.
Yeah,
and
she
then
made
there's a conversation
amount of money
about it. Is it real or not? Like, how can I get it tested? And like she knew what she was doing.
Yeah.
She's working.
Yeah. Fucking shouts out to Belle Delphine, friend of the show.
Belle Delphine.
If you're listening to the show, Belle Delphine, we're friends. We're best friends. She loves this podcast, so
absolutely
sign on to our Patreon. I've been thinking about making a
really big on New York, U.S. politics at Kanye West and Dana White.
For $1,000 a week, would you do a meat spin on OnlyFans if you was guaranteed money?
Listen, the price is right, baby.
I would do it right now for less than that. I would do it for $500. Yeah, times is hard. If I gotta do some meat spinning to fucking get some of this money going,
it is what it is.
It is what it is.
All right, I'm gonna go eat.
Okay, all right, see you later. Enough meat spin for now. Do you have anything to plug? Do you have anything writing in?
Not right now. No, everything's kind of in a weird place because everyone's like once a year or maybe twice a year, outlets decide to like close and reopen and reorganize, and that's where everybody is right now.
Yeah.
So like everybody who had jobs a month ago don't anymore, and maybe they'll start getting jobs soon. Who knows? Right. I know a couple of my clients that I had steady jobs with kind of both closed at the same time in April or in March. So I'm like, well, I guess I'm doing nothing right now.
Big facts. Yep. We're waiting for the end of the world, everybody.
Hey.
We'll get you through it to the best of our ability. If they don't find this holotape in the wasteland in about a week, 2 weeks.
And maybe next time we see each other, they'll be fighting.
Probably not.
Yeah, probably not.
Probably not.
If you're being honest, probably not.
If the government can't figure out when to let us out of the fucking house every week, then they're not Although Dana White and Vince McMahon are in the White House Advisory Board.
Listen,
So
they're top guys. They got the red phone.
they're playing with Daddy Trump's stimmy money right now, and they're out here making the most of it. So, but yeah, that's it. Follow at Jarrett John at JarretTTJWN.
Yep, John, not my last name.
Not your last name. So that's fun. I don't. The person I have edit the videos thinks your last name is John because no one outside of South Jersey and Philadelphia knows what the fuck that means.
It's weird, and it's true. I've been places and I just say it, and they're like, "I don't understand what you're saying."
John?
I'm like,
Are you saying John?
I guess you don't.
Like John
I guess
Baptist?
You don't.
But yeah, so that's his Instagram handle. Mine's at high functioning stupid. I'm not spelling it out. It's exactly how it sounds. There's no spaces. Follow our major Instagram at Catchweight Update on Instagram. Follow us on YouTube. Like, subscribe. Don't subscribe to PewDiePie. He loves fucking racists, right? So if you love racists, then you go there, I guess. But if you don't like racists and you like not racist, then here you are. Welcome to the show.
Also, I mean, you're gonna miss it if you listen to this right now. But if you're on Fortnite right now, I think Travis Scott's doing a concert.
That's right. Yes, if you are doing that, if you're gonna go to the Travis Scott concert on Fortnite, I want you to yell "subscribe to Catchweight" and then detonate inside of the Fortnite concert. If you can do that for us.
Yeah.
If this is all virtual terrorism, so I don't think we can get in trouble for that, right?
No, that's fine if it's virtual.
Yeah, virtual terrorism is fine. If you can,
that's just expression.
If you can, kill as many people as you can at that concert, and go on your day.
So if it's anything like the last one they did, I don't think there's weapons. I think you just show up, you just drop on the island, and this is a big ass concert everybody can see.
How fucked up would it be if someone found out like a fucking
you just hacked it, got a gun, just started shooting everybody.
They killed Travis Scott on his little avatar on stage. That'd be so fucked up.
Also, shout out to Fortnite, who was stealing rappers' dances 3 years ago, and now they're getting rappers signed to do concerts.
Yes. I think one of the people that were like at the forefront of that was like Chance the Rapper. He was like, "Hey,
maybe you should pay us." And then everyone's like, "Oops."
They're like, "No, silly black, you can't get paid for dance." And then
shout out to what's that dude? The Backpack Kid, who's now I think a SoundCloud rapper whose dance got swiped immediately, and he's white though, so it's probably fine. But
the backpack. Oh, the straight faced backpack.
Yeah.
White kid, the floss one.
The floss. He was flossing.
Yeah. Shouts out to that kid.
Got $0 for that.
I'm glad because he's been robbing our culture this whole time. So
he did try a lawsuit, and I don't think it's gonna work out. But
yeah, it's not gonna work out for him. Although, like, he should pursue it because that's like the biggest dance in the country right now. So
I think he did win it. I think the problem is it'll pursue it, and it won't even go to court until it's no longer a dance that anyone knows.
Yeah, it'll be too late.
Yeah. Or knowing this day and age, the court files will come out, and it'll become a dance again once it actually gets litigated.
Right. Because they copyrighted it, so he owes them money.
And we're so irony poisoned that we'll find it funny and make it a thing by accident.
That's all we have to add to the conversation, everybody.
That's all
we got. Oh boy! All right, peace, love, and gap, y'all. Catchweight update.